Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Hey listeners, Elliot Jay O'Neill here. Just to give you a heads up that this is part 2 of our 2-part special looking at 2-part episodes of The Simpsons. If you didn't listen to the previous episode of The Simpsons Index, maybe you should. I'm not going to tell you what to do or anything. You're your own person. You can listen to this podcast in any order that you want. Look, if we had to consume things in their proper order, then we wouldn't have our other podcast, which is Thrones of Game, where we are watching Game of Thrones backwards. Laura. Anyway, I'm just saying that this is part 2, and as expected, we reference things in part 1, so if you want full context, go listen to Ep162, but if you want me to just get on with the damn podcast already, then let's just eat the damn orange. This is episode 162, part 2 of our 2-part special looking at 2-part episodes of The Simpsons. Alright, and welcome to the second part of our 2-parter specials. And we are once again joined by the crew from Baby Beard Meter, Sean.
No.
And Ellen.
That's alright.
Oh, and here as always, except when he's not BT Calloway.
No, hoi hoi.
And we just watched the second part to the HD era Future Jump episodes. We just watched Season 25, Episode 18, Days of Future Future. First released in April of 2014, it was directed by Bob Anderson, written by J. Stewart Burns.
Hey.
In this episode, yeah, it's a somewhat sequel to the last Future Jump episode where Homer's now a screensaver, Bart's doing a Total Recall, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind thing to forget gender, and Milhouse is a zombie.
And let's not forget, Maggie doesn't exist, and neither does Lisa's kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of skipped past that, huh?
Yeah. Maggie did exist. She was in the restaurant scene having dinner with Gerald, but yeah, you're right. Where was Zia?
You know.
Hey guys, what'd you think?
Oh.
Excuse me.
So, guys, what the fuck happened in 2 years? J. Stewart Burns, my dude.
Same writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if anyone has the ability to continue on that episode, it's the goddamn same person.
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of fuckery was happening in this episode.
wasn't it? Wasn't it? Like, it's weird. For myself, we still laughed at bits, but they were further and fewer in between, and they weren't connected.
No,
Bits
and
of
also
laughter?
some of them were nervous laughter.
Yeah.
You know? They're like, oh.
Also, that was Amy Poehler.
Yeah, Amy Poehler returning. I think, she's the one guest star of this episode playing Gender. So they have actually done a couple of other Future Jump episodes, most notably in season 16, the episode Future Drama.
Oh,
Yeah, where her character, Gender, has a major plot in that, and that's like when Bart and Lisa are at the end of high school sort of thing. Yeah.
and that's not done by J. Stewart Burns. Interesting.
Yeah. Wow, you're quick on that googly.
Look,
He's got it right in front of him.
About a month ago, I moved the computer to the podcast table, and now that I've got it in front of me, I can't not use it.
Yeah,
so
we've got second screen syndrome over here.
So if you hear like furious clicking going over the next hour, it's just little old me.
Yeah, well, what else would it be?
So yeah, let's hook into this episode and really dig into what the fuck just happened. BT, we'll start with you this time. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
Homer dies.
A lot.
Yeah.
127 times
Yeah.
even.
But more important than all the other times, the first time, Homer dies.
Yeah.
In, effectively current continuity, Homer dies.
Yeah.
Just let it sink in, listening audience.
He's
Homer
dead.
dies.
He's dead.
That's him gone. Is this canon? Like, are both of these considered?
I mean, they have to be, because then, unlike the other Future Jump episodes, which are, a gypsy's fortune-telling and a magical fire, this one is implied that time passes and we watch that flow of time, just like the last one.
Yeah.
So if anything, these are more canon than the good ones. And Homer dies.
Yeah. Homer dies.
Say that a few more times.
Yeah. I really need that to settle in.
It sounds like BT's trying to reenact the parrot shop sketch from Monty Python. He's not pining, he's passed on.
He's not pining for the fjords.
Bereft
He's
of life, he breathes no more. If he hadn't
He's
nailed
a
him to his...
non-Homer. But no, I think, to kill a prime character, sure, they clone him, but it's just... That's a shock to the system. And I was like, okay, then, right before he dies the first time, he falls down some stairs and maybe this is all a hallucination dream. It is, but not his. But we'll get into that. Anyway, Elliot, back to you.
Yeah, for Homer dying, to not have any impact as well, and that Marge just isn't at all freaked out that his clone is there, even though she's staring at her husband's dead body.
Also, a clone is not a person. Like, they are a person, but they're not. I don't know. Like, if I died and there was a clone of me, that wouldn't be me. That would just be. Okay, we're straying into like.
Do we want to open this door?
Yeah, this is big philosophical question.
It's the transporter theory, yeah.
But like, just because it has my memories and my genetic code doesn't make that me. Just weird as well that no one's like still a bit sad that Homer died. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's your Homer.
Yeah, even if I was a clone, I'd be like, damn, that's sad. you know?
So that actually sets up a weird back continuity with the last episode because that wasn't original Homer that we just saw in the season 23 episode. That was one of the clones.
Who decided not to wear his numbered shirt when we saw him.
Yeah. And if we're going to take this as, canon, Lisa's wedding, that's not Homer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Every other time we've had a future jump. Exactly. This is why I'm upset.
Oh, God.
What hell have you wrought? How about you, Ellen? What stands out to you for better or worse?
I think my probably biggest laugh from this episode was a sight gag of that groundskeeper Willie got eaten by boiler room rats. He got eaten alive by boiler room rats. What a disturbing, fucked up little epilogue to a very well-known character, just brutally killed off in a...
Eaten alive!
That and just like a few visual things, like Homer's proportions are fucked up.
Yeah.
Like his arms are so tiny for his body, it doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, Simpsons proportions wouldn't make sense anyway because they're cartoons, but like, goddamn, does it look weird when you've only got the skeleton?
Not to mention the box his cock came in.
Oh my God.
That's a fucking Flanders-sized box.
Wait, is Flanders' big dick canon as well? I'm not familiar with...
he's got a...
I mean, I believe it. I just want to know if they've talked about this before.
Well, they heavily implied it, but it was a heavily blurred scene, but, you can tell.
Well, they wouldn't need to heavily blur it if he had a small dick, you know what I'm saying?
He got a hefty dick.
That's a lot of blur there.
A light blurring would have done, but no, they had to go in a few more times.
Jesus. How about you, Sean? What stands out to you for better or worse?
Homer ate Marge.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And like Mo, I am wildly unclear what that meant. What ramifications that has. So was it love? Was it suicide? Was it a fucked up video game?
don't
Are they now
know.
one being? Does Marge cease to exist?
I don't know.
And that's pretty much what we ended with.
Yeah.
That's one of the lasting images.
It ties into my big problem with this episode, which is the fucking cop-out. It was all in your delusion, as we were cutting the memory ties, which they did in Futurama.
Yeah.
Like, this was that Bender and X1 compatibility thing.
Yes. Yes.
Except there it was clever and fun.
Yeah, but also in that one, like, the problem that I have with this episode is that it sets up a bunch of stuff before Bart goes in with this, like Millhouse Zombie, Homer clone dying, being a screensaver now, whatever. Then a whole chunk of the episode happens while he's done this thing, and then at the end, like, it even points out how it's like, oh no, there's still a few things that happen. Like, it's just so confused and convoluted, and like, not even convoluted. It's just a cop-out.
You shouldn't be scrambling to try and remember what has happened and what is part of the dream. Because as soon as he came out and I realized there was still a few minutes of the episode left, I'm like, oh shit, okay, what has happened and what hasn't? What do I need to kind of focus on? And then for them to make jokes about it to further confuse you and to hang a lampshade on, I'm like, that's not helping.
Yeah, what really bugged me is the moment of heart that I thought was quite good in this was part of Bart's delusion that was not a part of anything, where Marge says, when you make a decision with your heart, you've got to follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that wasn't in the... Yeah.
No.
It's... Look, I'm going to say it. Dumb.
Play count. Have you seen this episode before today, BT?
I don't think so, but maybe this is all a dream to help me, come to terms with this episode.
How about you guys?
No.
Weirdly, I feel like I have.
Really?
I don't know.
Or
There's
was it a dream?
I had a dream about this episode. No, I remember the idea of Homer being a screensaver. I even remember the gag of him being like, oh, there's a corner. Boop, boop. And Marge plugging herself in. But I don't remember watching the full episode.
This came out in 2014, mind you.
Oh, I've seen the full episode, and I don't think I've seen the full episode.
No.
Question mark from me.
Yeah, this was so disappointing for me, I remember, in my first watch, because it's like, oh, okay, this continuity again, you know, and then just, oh, what a disappointment. And yeah, I didn't even realize until you mentioned it, BT. Yeah, Lisa's daughter isn't in it at all, and it's just whatever goodwill that they built up from the last one is just fucking wasted here.
Yeah.
No Maggie as well. And
Yeah. So how about the wackiness? Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
I mean,
Homer
yeah.
dies.
There are zombies.
And also, does that imply that in Bart's imagination, Lisa is a terrible, terrible, terrible person? She'd rather have Milhouse be a zombie for her own benefit.
But when he came out of the thing, Milhouse was still a zombie.
Yeah, but that's because
Yeah.
they couldn't heal
They
him.
couldn't
not
reverse
because
it. It
Lisa
wasn't cured.
chose
Yeah,
not
right.
to.
yeah, but she's still like turned on by it.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah,
he's
which is
like,
creepy.
flower, she's like, oh.
Oh, but imagine Lisa being turned on by a zombie. That's...
You know what?
Oh, wait. Was
You know
this...
what's really fucked
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Bart
Yeah.
imagined Homer as a screensaver watching his own son fuck.
Deliberately.
Yep.
What is
that was in a dream.
that is terrible. What?
What?
Just why?
Why?
Why would you do it?
How
I
is
don't-
that helpful?
Yeah,
That's
somehow
helpful
the
for
fact
us.
that this was all part of Bart's fantasy does actually make it worse.
Yeah.
Like, not just, like, it was already bad that Homer Screensaver wanted to watch his son fuck, but, like,
Ugh.
and yeah, all the women that Bart slept with as well. That's why they call you Mrs. Hoover.
Oh yeah, that is not a cool joke.
Yeah, it does swat it away with like your apartment's so well vacuumed or something.
But also
still.
that.
But
I'm like,
still.
what?
Yeah, but then she says,
I'll do that for you.
to please my man.
It's like, you didn't make it better.
yeah,
No.
what are we, time traveling back to the fucking 50s? What
Whoop.
is this shit? Yeah,
Yeah, weird. A future jump episode that also at the same time travels backwards.
it's terribly regressive and like not good. I mean, there's some interesting social commentary on Nelson's mum still having to be a sex worker even though she's like 87
Yeah.
because
No social security.
no social security, and the one Republican in in the House
Yeah.
and Senate still manages to overpower
Knows how to get shit done.
all the Democrats. It's just like, I mean, it didn't get a laugh from me, but it get a huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got more of a goal.
Oh.
Oh, for real. Yeah, but working at, it wasn't Jurassic Park, it was Cretaceous Park. And did anyone like also get the vibes, like this was at least a couple of years before Jurassic World, but Nelson was really rocking some Chris Pratt and Jurassic World vibes in this episode.
Huh. I didn't notice it, but I'm with you on that.
Oh yeah,
Also,
I guess he was pretty sexist, huh? And like,
I gotta
Yeah.
say, I love Nelson's sensual ha-ha. Ha-ha.
Yeah, I did quite like his pickup line of "I love your perfume. Can I smell you later?"
Oh.
Just buttery smooth.
yeah, it's not the worst pickup line in the world, but
I'd go with him.
pickup lines generally aren't good anyway, no matter how good they are.
You need to get a laugh out of it, not a pickup line. It's a joke. So
Yeah.
That's why most people on Tinder open with puns.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, any other wacky moments?
Yeah, the one that actually got a decent chuckle out of me is when Bart is at Cretaceous Park and he's getting better at his job, so he's part of the show now, brings the T-Rex out and he's like, oh, now you can do your juggling act. Throws the ball to the T-Rex. T-Rex drops it, everyone laughs, and then there's just a single tear down
Yeah.
the T-Rex. It got a nice little aw
Poor
moment
little
for me,
thing.
which is still funny, but also aw.
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Zing.
Yeah.
That's what your Tinder profile opens with, yeah. With a good pun.
Yep. Actually, my Tinder profile opens with, "Hi, my name's Elliot. You can make fun of my name by calling me either Smelliot or Peanut Butter Jelliot."
Nice.
Oh, I love Jerry, actually.
Yeah,
I really
I-
love Jerry.
In my notes, it literally says, Jerry seems nice.
Yeah. And just the nice little pause he gives after, yeah, she's just coming out of a shower.
Yes, and he just like with his arms folded as well, very like
Yeah, oh yeah.
macho.
Yeah. Did you clock that thorax? He clearly works out every day.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's nice that he's like trying to be nice,
Civil. Yeah.
you know, and be like, "Oh, you hitting the gym? Like you're looking good," you know. It's like that
Yeah.
awkward small talk that you're like, "Oh, just shut the fuck up, Jerry." But at the same time, you're like, "Oh, come on, he's trying."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all Jerry's.
I liked the joke with Milhouse using Ralph to beat up the bullies. And even Ralph had a really good line, officer down, I need backup. And then he gets up and he's like, I'm back up.
Yeah,
I think his
yeah,
whole
yeah.
bit was great when it's like Ralph shows up and he's like, wee-oh, what seems to be the whatsy here?
Yeah.
Oh, I really thought it was going to be a gag of when he asked for backup, just a fuck ton of Ralphs were going to appear and we're just going to get another mass Ralph genocide again.
Good point. I'm surprised it wasn't in an episode where Homer dies.
Yeah, we know cloning tech is a thing.
Yeah.
Groundskeeper Willie got eaten by rats, eaten alive by rats.
Is it
Oh,
really?
this implies that he wasn't loved enough to be cloned.
Or wasn't simple
Aw.
enough, I suppose.
Oh, he
Oh,
probably
right,
wasn't.
because, yeah, that was a joke. I was going to do it on a sheep, but I needed something more simple.
I loved the lightsaber
Oh, the flick knife.
dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so stupid, but I love
Flick
it.
saber.
It's just like, well, it doesn't
Yeah.
even need to flick.
No.
Then. It's just,
Yeah, sort of that part of it that I liked, but yeah, the whole Lisa falling head over heels in love and finding zombie Milhouse interesting is just such a weird angle for this
Yeah.
episode to take.
I mean, I
Yeah.
know it was Bart's imagination, but when she's all like, "Oh, some meat rotted in our fridge the other night," and I was like, "Oh, what?"
I'm-
For a vegetarian as well.
that's true. That is true. I might be the odd one out. I kind of found that kind of interesting. I don't know.
I found it funny.
Yeah, because like I
Yeah?
get Millhouse is so bland.
He's just vanilla.
And he's like vanilla, but then also neurotic as well. So it's not like it's annoying vanilla. It's just like, and like you know,
There's a
quite
flavor at
Baskin Robbins.
yeah,
Yeah.
neurotic, annoying vanilla.
But it makes sense as well with Lisa, like, you know, her past attraction to like Nelson.
Yeah.
It's this idea that's very ingrained in women of like, oh, if they're bad or, you know, mean or they don't say a lot, it's because there's a lot going on underneath that I can fix, or, you know, like
Yeah,
the less
right.
you say, the more.
well,
the
he
mo-
wants to stand up for me.
The more
but-
intrigue there is.
Not only he's a bad boy, he's a going bad boy.
He's
Oh,
going
he will.
back
Kill it on the
slowly.
second half.
Hey. It reminded me a lot. There's this little Australian comedy movie called The Little Death, which is about like, it's kind of like a movie that follows like a whole bunch of different couples, but then one of them is that man and wife and they're trying to get pregnant, but she realizes she can only orgasm when he's crying, but she doesn't tell him that. And she only realizes that like his dad dies and then they have sex and she like manages to orgasm like for the first time in their married life. And then the whole thing is her trying to like, you know, she just keeps chopping onions and he's like, why do you keep chopping? I don't want onions anymore. Like, you know, or she'll like deliberately try and upset him
Yeah.
before sex so that, you know, he's crying and so that she can like, it's really fucked up, but it's a really interesting comedy. I highly recommend. Yeah, and I kind of liked that angle for Lisa. I like it when she's a bit fucked up because, you know, it makes her more interesting too.
But then there's a question of this happened in Bart's imagination.
Yeah, the fucking line that we have to draw with this episode is so
that's
weird.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to get past that, to be honest.
And Homer as well, like getting the Bart's kids to melt him as well, so he can be that Terminator roboskeleton thing. Man,
Was that pre-dream?
that was during the dream. Basically, the button on the end of the third act, that's post, and then like everything before the second act is that actually happened.
So he still died a whole bunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Homer still died.
Yeah. Did he become Bicentennial Man in the last part? Was that what it was meant to be?
This episode
Yeah,
was about as good as Bicentennial Man. So
Oh.
Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sophisticated Homer bot as well. I do believe that would be a woohoo. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not hedonism bot. Get out of here with that shit.
Hedonism bot would not stand for this, especially because he does not stand. He is always lounging around.
And just remember, Homer and hedonism bot have fucked.
I try not
that's
to remember.
right.
Try not to remember that.
The things we repress, man.
Yeah. There's a good like indication of how fucked up this episode is just through a bit of beautifully drawn animation, Barney has a really horrified, confused, befuddled reaction shot when Homer sends his robot body down to the pub to drink.
This
and
makes
then,
no sense.
Why?
Yeah, and then the body just walks behind the bar and like pours from the tap right into its body. And Barney's expression is just like so perfect because it's exactly what my face was doing then. It was just like a mixture of what the fuck, why the fuck, how the fuck, who the fuck, all of them.
I know we've been stuck on wackiness for a while, Elliot. Sorry, but yeah, it's just that, you know, in contrast to what I said last week, this is all random stuff and it doesn't stick to the characterization of the characters that we know. Unlike the last episode, it made narrative and character sense. This doesn't at all.
No.
Yeah, I only just realized that in the last one, Homer had quit drinking, and that's gone now.
Oh.
Well, he's a robot now, so he's back on the source.
Does that matter?
I mean, does it matter that his brain, which wasn't part of that robot body, that he's having beer poured into it, does that make robot drunk?
Oh, wait, was this also parts of Bart's fantasy?
Yeah, it was.
God, just...
Also, that's the thing I forgot to say before about Homer with the robot body as well. It was done in very much, again, that Futurama episode with Lucy Lou-Bot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where, you had a blank robot and then, like, superimposed an image on it.
Yeah.
But then his skeleton reflected him. Fucking hell. We've been stuck on the wackiness for so long because I don't think the heart question is going to have much material. Did you guys feel the heart?
Nope.
I felt my heart beating away slowly as I creep towards death.
All right, let me think about this. Let me think this properly. Was there actually any emotional beats worthwhile? No.
Marge, no one cares that Homer dies at all.
No.
No one cares that not Lisa, not Bart, nor Marge really cares that they're having marital problems.
The only thing that even came remotely fucking close was that speech with Bart, Lisa, and Marge which was kind of this episode's version of the treehouse
Yeah.
scene, but it doesn't really earn it, doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't stick the landing.
Which is such a shame.
And it doesn't count because it was all in Bart's head.
And that's the other thing. Bart's fantasy about breaking up and finally getting over gender, that should have some weight, but in this little fantasy sequence where he sleeps around and then he gets back together with her and then they're just bored with each other, it wasn't a good arc.
No. So, no is the answer.
Yeah, not heart at all.
No bumps.
But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No.
It felt like a
weird fever dream.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like a new Simpsons episode. Like it felt like what I thought the previous episode was going to be coming into it. It's what my body was ready for. It's just wholeheartedly disappointing.
Yeah.
And I hate being that down about a show that I love and have very fond memories of.
Yeah.
But we're 25 seasons through at the point of this episode?
Yep.
God damn.
And 30 and a half at the point of right now.
It's just weird because they've proven in season 23, as far as I've seen so far, that it is possible to make not shit.
Yeah,
make a
this
good
very
episode,
writer did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
and in this season as well, episode reviewed with Pods in the Key in Springfield, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yep.
There was this episode called The War of Art where Homer and Marge buy a painting at Kirk and Luann's garage sale that turns out to be worth a fortune. And
Wow.
it's from this same season, and it's this really interesting exploration of these characters and this situation that are in. So yeah, even this season has its moments, but it's also the season with an episode that's actually titled YOLO. So anyway, yes or no, would you watch this again?
No.
No.
No. Ellen, we'll start with you this time. What would you like to change?
Yeah, floor's yours.
Fuck. This just... I don't know what's most interesting in this episode, because I guess you zero in on what you find most interesting and try and kind of rebuild the plot around that. I guess what would be the anchoring thing for me would be, maybe the kids trying to figure out what their damage is with relationships and try and reconcile it through Marge and Homer, who, while have not had a stellar relationship, I always say the best thing about Homer Simpson is how much he loves Marge and how much Marge loves Homer, and that they have a relationship that is that can still be so fraught and sitcom-y, but at the same time can have so many layers of warmth and depth to it. and we get to explore it outside of the bounds of, you know, the nagging housewife and the deadbeat kind of dad. Like, we get to see that they do truly love each other, despite that they don't seem matched at all. Like, and so I think there could have been a nice thing where they try and look at Homer and Marge's relationship and try and figure out what is good about it. That would be how I would kind of work this episode, and just, I don't know, I would take it right back to the drawing board and just go, what kind of story do you want to tell here?
Yeah. How about you, BT?
I think something that would move this to at least a passable episode for me is, instead of the whole it's all a dream thing, Lisa makes a decision of, you know what, leaving Millhouse may not be the perfect man, but he's the man I married and I've got to follow my heart decision. Marge makes a similar kind of statement about that. Bart's like, nah, screw that. I know a place that'll just make me feel better. Runs back to the Total Recall thing. And they're like, yeah, you know our service doesn't actually work, right? This was kind of a magic shoes thing where getting over your ex was inside you all along. And we're actually frauds. You know, because then at least you don't have this erasing of everything we've gone through in this episode where we were just all sitting there confused as to what actually happened, what didn't, and what are we taking away from this. It's not great, but it makes me less angry, so that's a start. And then there's about 500 other things I would change, but you know.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, it's interesting because what the fuck is this episode trying to say? Like, if you look at Holidays of Future Past, it's very much focusing on the familial relationship. It's looking at from, you know, father to son and from mother to daughter. Those are kind of your anchoring points. This episode, I feel it's like they looked at that and went, okay, we did familial relationships, now let's do our romantic relationships. And they've like tried to anchor it between Bart and Gender and Lisa and Millhouse, but it's just, there's nothing to grab onto. So besides the obvious thing changing, which is stick to your fucking guns and don't erase half your episode, like that aside, kind of similar to what we said we would do with Holidays Past, like put more of the focus on Lisa in that episode. And really, I would have put more of a tighter focus, if you want to have a protagonist for that episode, on her and her relationship with both Marge and Zia. This episode, I would focus more on Bart and Gender and make that your A plot, and then have Lisa and Millhouse be more of a B plot, and just really, you know what, you don't need to end it nicely. It can be a whole thing of sometimes, like you see with my mum and my dad, they really work hard to make it work, and despite all else, it actually works. I've tried that with this, and sometimes it just doesn't, and it's going to take me a while to reconcile with that, but I can reconcile that, because not every relationship is destined to be worked out successfully. And that's okay.
Yeah. And yeah, look, as for what I'd change, yeah, look, fuck off the whole Eternal Sunshine thing. It doesn't work. It doesn't help. And I think you need to remember the episode that came before it, the episode that was liked. People loved this episode. Hayden Childs of the AV Club gave it an A. And I think it's an interesting thing that Bart's got like a solid job in, you know, Dinosaur Zoo. And I think that's an interesting character trait of his, where he's doing better career-wise, but he still hasn't got the greatest relationship with his kids, and he's got some hang-ups about his ex-wife. And
but
I
it's
think
still progress.
Yeah, showing that progress, but also showing how he's still struggling, I think it'd be interesting. And more Lisa caring for zombie Millhouse, I think. Find out why Lisa went with him in the first place, because that's the other thing I'd scrap about the other episode. And yeah, you said it as well, Ellen. We don't want to see her settle for Millhouse.
Yeah.
We can accept in Lisa's wedding that she likely lost her virginity to him, but, you know, as Marge said, Millhouse doesn't count.
He doesn't count, no.
And also, Screen Homer was having fun with Bart's kids. I want to see more of that. I don't know why Marge kicked him out of the house. I wanted to see, like, Screen Homer be, like, better as a computer program than he was in real life.
He adapts better to being a screen dad than he has any right to. Like, it's like, this is actually a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when he doesn't have, like, the temptations in the physical world of beer and food, like, yeah, just has time to be a productive personality. And
yeah, it could be an interesting transition from him. It's like, well, I can't eat or drink, and I love doing those things. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we are here. Ellen, do you have any other notes?
Oh, there was one gag I did laugh at, and it was Bart and Krusty the Clown in a clown orgy, and all the clowns just keep coming out from underneath the bed. Look.
Yeah, that tickled me.
Look,
there's two words that are together now. Clown orgy.
Oh, they've been together for a while.
They've been together before. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, how great if you honked someoed someone's boob and it literally went.
Either that
God.
or...
Oh, yeah. And that's not a squirting flower either.
Oh, semen.
Da-da-da up.
Thanks, dude.
Here at Ellen's Fashion Corner, wink.
Wink.
Just like the future dresses of those two girls that Bart hit on in his dream, maybe? I don't know. One of them in a peach dress. It's like a little mini dress, and it's like very provocatively cut out, like above the kind of collarbone and neckline. It's just got like a cutout and then kind of cut out around the hips as well. And it's like, oh, it's a sexy little dress.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting, these dresses that in Futurama and this, like, the cutouts, like, these dresses, like, must have been fit exactly for that exact person's body type, because...
Yeah.
And the suggestion they accentuate different cutouts as well throughout the ages.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's in right now? Hips.
Yeah.
You know what's in right now? That tiny little bit above the hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that bit.
That was it. That was Ellen's Fashion Corner.
Wink.
All right, BT, any other notes?
Always. We get a little quick flash of Lisa's goth phase again. I kind of want to spend some time there. I want to see Lisa the goth. That's interesting to me.
That
I
was
like
in
Goth
that
Lisa.
episode where she was trying
Raven
to...
never smiles when she was trying to reinvent herself.
Yeah.
But there's also, I mean, in the previous one, you got it when they were going through the couches throughout the years. There was a little bit of Lisa goth. I'm curious. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Again, that weird kind of silence is pervasive throughout this one. They just need some background ambience and some transitional music. Did we talk about Santa's little hybrid yet?
No.
Not yet.
That exists.
No.
Because especially when we had the pets that had evolved. So
Yeah.
they evolved, and now they de-evolved them and then stitched them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can see a pet human war probably happened.
Yeah.
Unless an evolved version did that in some
Yeah,
kind of
maybe.
horrifying, like, Mengele kind of experiment. I don't know.
Oof.
Ugh.
That's gross. And my final point is something Sean already said, but it bears repeating. What's the point of this episode?
We've done a pretty thorough review, and I don't know. How about you, Sean? What are your final notes?
Yeah, look, I've been pretty much universally negative about this episode, so I'm going to use this point to say all the little positive things that I got little chuckles at. So all we did was yell traveling at the screen. I love that Homer has no idea about sport. That's great. My favorite death was Homer number 5 dying through the toaster, and then Homer number 6 comes over, grabs Homer 5's hand, and eats the toast with assistance.
Sean's favorite Homer death was number 5. Sorry.
Wink. Hey, that's my death tally. Oh, God, it's so big.
Oh, yeah.
127 Homers at least.
Yeah.
Cremo, the cremating robot, tries to go for Grandpa because he thinks Grandpa's dead. Fucking great. Anything to do with screensaver Homer, like him bopping through the screen, him playing Chasey. It's lovely. It's like, it's beautiful. It's not beautiful, but it's disgusting. I love it. The alien, Jerry kissing gender. Not a fan of that,
Yeah.
but I am.
Internal
Really,
Oh.
yeah. Really makes you think about Alien. Maybe the Xenomorph was just trying to get a little kiss.
Just give him some loving. Oh.
Was a little too zealous with it and kept smashing through people's skulls. I'll just give you a little kiss. I killed you again.
Oh,
no.
no.
Oh, I must have recorded over Dad. With, was it The Real Housewives of Venus?
And also, you can't record over a USB. This isn't
That's
tape.
what I was thinking.
It's not
And
a
if he's recorded over
VHS.
Homer, then he ceases to exist, right? Like, oh, fuck that joke. Sorry.
I have a question, because there's also a note. Have they brought back I Carumba in the HD era, or is this just like a one-time thing?
Aggressively and egregiously, like...
I thought so.
They treat it as a punchline, like the phrase "I carumba" was always inherently funny, and it drives me up the wall.
No.
And my final note is I just like seeing Marge with a beer in her hand.
Yeah, we haven't seen Marge drunk a lot.
I definitely haven't. Or if it's usually with wine or like a nice little glass. But it's just her with a duff in her hand, and I really dug it.
Yeah, go back to season 1, the one where they go to Marvin Monroe, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
Drink the
right.
The drink that I have made.
Yeah, they do have this whole song and dance number with drunk Marge. It's amazing.
Elliot,
you
can you
tried
please
the
do your
punch?
Marge again? There you go.
It's like Julie Kavanagh's right here.
Wow.
sound like that.
There was also the Halloween Treehouse of Horror where it's like a play and Homer dies in it and Marge gets hooked on beer that happens to be infused with Homer's blood.
Oh, Jesus.
This
What?
warm and rosy bubbles in my nosy makes me want to have mo. Anyway.
What the
What do you mean it's infused with his blood?
What the fuck?
Treehouse of Horror 20. Go check it out if you dare.
None more goth, I guess. I mean, what's her name? Mary Shelley did like keep her husband's heart in a jar in her desk, but like that's so much worse.
She was a weird lady.
That's not just like a fake heart that like the sushi that they have out the front of the restaurants. And,
Sushi fake.
Sushi fake.
oh yeah, and the classic eras had a habit when they do like back jump episodes, flashback episodes, that's what they call them, where they show Hibbert's different hairstyles through the ages.
Yeah.
And I like that they kept it up here where he had this
Future
like
hair,
graying little
Oh, yeah.
flat
That's
coat.
nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't get over back jump though. Come on, we got to back
Actually-
jump to the future.
I may have to check, but that may be the same haircut that what's his name?
Total Recall.
No,
Dennis Rodman, Fifth Element.
Yeah, no, Dennis Rodman in Demolition Man has.
Oh, really?
It might be.
Oh,
can't believe it.
You don't sound wrong.
And time from our final notes, and I don't have many, we were actually pretty thorough with this one. Old Duffman made me very sad.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
And what was with the weird post-credits next week on The Simpsons thing?
Yeah, was that
don't
the Madman episode that you were talking about?
No.
Oh.
And
So
yeah,
it's
the
not-
next episode after this, I checked, just had nothing to do with any of those scenes. It was just this weird little post-credits thing.
Wait, so
Yeah.
that was all footage that is not part of any episode that we know of?
No, just used for this one in this episode
the
only.
fuck?
Like, the joke was that it's setting up something that doesn't exist.
That's not a joke.
But that's not funny.
I know. It's a part of this episode's problem.
Oh,
All right.
God.
But before we rank this thing, we actually do have one more question, but I'm not going to ask it. BT is.
Have we not done this? Oh,
Not with
no.
these guys, actually,
That's
no.
amazing.
Oh.
All right, well, we have a question for our guests. We'd like to pop on them. Basically, if you could have a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich? Now, if that question is too hard, because it is one of the hardest questions you'll be ever asked in your life, the simpler version is, what's the best sandwich?
Ellen, you're Italian.
Hey, fuck you, man. I got an idea for like fillings. I can't definitively say like what's the best sandwich because as a vegetarian, a lot of options aren't really available to me. Like,
Just tell me what's on your sandwich.
What is
Well-
the Ellen?
Yeah.
thank you.
As in, is it what your favorite sandwich is, or what would make up, like, what is the essence of Ellen in sandwich form?
No. It's like a
Me and a sandwich.
local sandwich shop is like, hey, we love you. How about we make a sandwich named
Okay,
after you?
sure,
What would
sure.
you want
Yeah.
to be on that sandwich?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. Okay, so it's definitely got avocado as the kind of like spread. And then, you know what? I'm going to be a bit fancy. I'm going to put a little mustard on there as well. Like proper Dijon mustard, like
Yeah.
proper seed mustard. Then I want to put a fried egg, roasted capsicum, sun-dried tomato, red onion, spinach. Yeah, I think that'll be good.
So is this toasted is my next question, because this
Yeah,
sounds like it should be toasted.
it definitely needs to be toasted because the insides are quite like watery. So you're gonna really need some kind of like thick toasted bread to kind of just like
Yeah.
contain it all and help you mop up the egg yolk. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love a good egg yolk mop.
Yeah, that's the Ellen. Enjoy.
Nice.
How about you, Sean?
Okay, I've been
What's on the Sean?
I've
I
just
think
been
he's
freaking
actually
out.
writing it down.
Yeah, I've been trying to like visualize my sandwich, and I'm just gonna.
Are you
Do you
going to
wanna read
read
it out?
I really want to read it.
You can read it.
This is my monologue for today. Hello. Okay.
It's unfinished, or maybe it's finished.
Can
Who
you-
knows? No, it's finished.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Sandwich, toasted, Helga bread, feta cheese. Fuck.
It's a complicated
Sounds like a
sandwich.
weird slam poem.
You know what? I'm not going to put anything on that else on that. Just a bit of cheese and
you,
fuck.
you haven't told us how to assemble it.
Nah, you got to just. That's the Sean.
Do I swear at the sandwich?
Yeah. No. So what happens is the person comes up. You ask for the Sean. He gets bread. He toasts it. He puts feta cheese on it, and then yells "fuck" and throws it at you.
So it's like an event.
It's an experience. You have to feel a certain thing.
It's like when you have it prepared at the table side. It's like, the chef's going to come out to your table so they can yell fuck at you.
This is my favorite entry since Madison just literally wanted a pile of ham.
and I deliberately said he. It's just like an aggressive man. It's like, fuck! And just throws it at you.
I can imagine Gordon Ramsay would make a beautiful Sean.
A beautiful Sean.
He would indeed.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we're rank using our 6-point scale, starting at the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just bleh, you give it participant, but for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. Now I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Despite a lot of the negatives that I had about this episode, there were a handful of jokes that I liked, and I am just going to give it a participant, but look, fucking barely. And who's next? How about Sean?
Yeah, participant's the same. I put a little smiley face next to it just so I didn't seem too aggressive. But yeah, participant for me as well. It's not the worst of the worst. Like, as I said in my positive notes, I got some chuckles, I got some laughs, and like, it's not the worst episode I've seen by a stretch. So it's got a few bits of funnies and a few nice visual gags that I was like, yeah, that's all right. So you know what? You're not a complete dud, but you're very fucking close. Especially coming after the last episode.
How about you, BT?
After careful consideration, failure.
Ooh.
Look, I hate that it was all a dream, because anything I enjoyed from the episode no longer matters, and I was just confused as what was real and what was not meant to be real. And more than anything, the moral Bart learns in the parts that now were just his fantasy, he didn't learn them. He still took the easy way out of getting over his ex. He didn't learn the lesson. No one around him did anything. Nothing changed. It made the entire episode redundant. And all I take away from it is Homer is dead. So, into the depths of hell. It's not the worst episode ever, but it belongs in hell, so fuck off.
He's an ex-Homer. How about you, Ellen? Can you please finish it off?
Finish him. I'm going to say failure. I know I must seem pretty harsh, but...
I just told it to go to hell. You're fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, the whiplash of having a few good gags in there in this just kind of like, it's tonally dissonant as well. I don't know who it's for. I don't know what it's about or who we're meant to be following. It's got definitely no heart, and that doesn't need to be in every single episode, but it's just a blancmange of like misused ideas and characters not acting correctly, like not acting in character. And I think a lot of things in entertainment have to be earned. I'm not saying, like, don't challenge your audience, but if you're going to kill off a major character as a part of a gag, I think you have to build a better episode around it. So, yeah, that's me.
Hey, Elliot, have you ever had someone change their score midway through the voting process?
Yep.
Well, even BT, he has the clause that he's allowed the right to blurt something out later. And if you change your mind after the podcast, as long as it hasn't been released yet, you can call our other guest, Jordan, up at 3 a.m. in the morning to change your rank.
Can I do that right now?
Hey, Jordan.
Absolutely. Jordan would much rather that.
Okay. I'm giving it a failure. Here's why. It's a redundant episode. There's no character arc. No one learns anything. The characters don't act like themselves. There's no protagonist, no heart. It's a bad continuation of a good episode, and they killed their central character.
And it's funny you do that because I'm also changing my ranking. Ellen and BT made some fucking compelling arguments.
Yay.
And I know,
He's won the day.
Join
I don't
us.
think we've ever had two people fucking flip.
No,
but-
it's the first time ever.
Yeah,
No.
and I mean, I even said it was barely a fucking participant, but no, it's barely a fucking participant. It's a failure.
Yeah.
This makes this a unanimous failure. We are giving this episode the index finger.
Oh, hey.
This will be the 6th episode from season 25 to get the finger.
Oh.
It'll be joining the incredibly racist episode Homerland. This is the episode where Lisa deduces that Homer's going to pull off a terrorist act because he's doing Muslim stuff, like praying to the East and refusing to eat pork and stuff. It is a bad racist episode.
What
It'll
the
also be joining
fuck?
White Christmas Blues, which is a very confused Christmas episode. The Man Who Grew Too Much, which is where Sideshow Bob changes his DNA and becomes a superhuman. These are things
What?
that happened. Luca Dollar, where Lisa falls in love with a guy that like gets into competitive eating, and he's played by Zach Galifianakis. And also the crazy ass episode, What to Expect When Bart's Expecting, when Bart gets his art teacher pregnant with voodoo.
I'm sorry,
What
what?
do you mean?
Quite literally, Bart gets his art teacher pregnant with voodoo.
That explains nothing.
No.
That's what happened.
Do you want me to raise further questions? Later in the
No.
episode, Fat Tony kidnaps Bart and Homer to get his racehorse pregnant with another horse. But for whatever reason, voodoo doesn't work with horses. So Homer and Bart do a Les Miserables parody to get two horses to fuck.
That's why I kind of love that episode. It sounds so made up.
I can hear the jaws. Their jaws hit the table, didn't they?
The mullets have been stunned.
All right, and before we move on, we must ask, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified?
Dennis Perkins of the AV Club.
Dennis the Wildcard Perkins.
He gave this a C. So this is their failure.
Okay.
Well, maybe even like dull participation. Anyway, losing much of the heart of its predecessor in favor of the sort of ill-conceived and contradictory character arcs the latter scattershot Simpsons has become notorious for. Days of Future reveals a series willing to shrug off what still could be. Instead, this future Simpsons world seems just a playground for writers to use up whatever Futurama jokes they had left over.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
a pretty
about
good
right.
review.
I'm with you, Perkins.
And like, if there was a kind of like mid, like in this rating thing, if there was a way to give it like an F plus,
Shiny failure.
Yeah.
you're a D minus, like I'd probably go for something like that. But yeah, it's not good.
I couldn't think of a good word for it, so it doesn't exist. All right, guys. That about does it for this section of the two-part episode. But, before we leave you, baby bearders, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight.
you're
Aw,
welcome.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us. It was very nice.
It's always a pleasure having you guys on. And, why don't you tell the folks that, who listen to this show what you guys do on your shows?
Do you want to take Shut Up?
Oh shucks, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh.
Take My Podcast is our Futurama podcast where we pit episode against episode in a bloody glorious gauntlet battle for the entertainment of many. Yeah, and not only do we do that, we also get to talk to some of the people who made Futurama, and they tell us some really wild stories, and so check it out.
And just on that as well, a recent episode, Ellen, that you hosted with Crystal Chesney Thompson and Amy Steinberger. Oh my God, that was just such a joyous episode.
They are so cute.
They're adorable.
And I just want them to adopt me and be my mums.
Absolutely loved that.
And the other podcast we do is Roll to Cast, which is a tabletop role-playing podcast where each season we'll be tackling a different role-playing system. And by the time of this episode coming out, we will have just finalized and completely finished Season 1 of our Cyberpunk 2020 campaign.
Wow.
So what you can also look forward to in the next couple of weeks is we will also be doing an interview with Mike Pondsmith, the creator of Cyberpunk 2020. Before we head on to Season 2, which will be Vampire the Masquerade that we tackle.
And this is a great time for people to jump on Roll to Cast as well, because like Sean said, we'll be finished, so you can get in and binge the whole season, and it is a twisty one. There's heists, there's fucking rock concerts, you name it, we got it. So if you really kind of want to listen to it from start to finish, you will be able to do that.
Hell yeah.
It's been one of the great joys of my week listening to this show week to week, and and this is from me that's not normally a D&D or tabletop podcast fan, but I really like the effort you guys have put in, and your characters are so great, and the music, oh my God, and Ellen, the songs that you had been singing on are just fantastic.
Paul Goodman from One Good Thing made all the music.
Oh yeah, so Paul Goodman from One Good Thing, another friend of the show.
Yeah. It's very nepotistic in here. I like it.
Thanks, man. We appreciate
friends of
that.
all the shows.
Like and subscribe to all.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. We appreciate the nice words.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure, and can't wait to hear what you guys do with Vampire the Masquerade.
I know, I'm pumped.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this section, and we will be back with our review of Brawl in the Family. And we are back, and joining me for this lineup of part 2 of our teens episode Vegas wife story thing is Claire R,
Hello.
Jordan Frost,
Hi there.
Danny Rosewell,
Ahoy, hoy.
and here as always, except when he's not, BT Calloway.
This microphone is still tickling my mustache.
Even all this week later.
Weak.
We just watched Season 13, Episode 7, Brawl in the Family. First released in January of '02, it was directed by Matthew Nastuck, written by Joel H. Cohen. In this episode, the Simpsons family get into a fight over Monopoly, and the police take them away, and then they get assigned a caseworker to help them work together, but then the Vegas wives show up and wreck everything or something. Guys, what do you think?
It was a bit of a mess, eh?
But not a bad mess, but not a good mess.
Yeah,
I got some yucks.
yeah. I quite enjoyed the first half.
I quite
And-
enjoyed the second half.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at these two.
Well, I did feel like the idea of suddenly pulling the wind out of your sails like halfway through. Bet you didn't see that coming. Lol,
Oh.
totally different episode. It was funny. Maybe just because it wasn't the standard first act breaky thing.
I
Suckered
think,
me in.
yeah, you know what? Now that you've said that, that's pretty good. I think I spent the first half being like, I don't remember any of this. When are the Vegas wives showing
For
up?
real.
Because that's
And-
the only part of the episode I remember. I had no idea who that Gabrielle
It
guy
had
was.
that story structure, so it really felt like the whole episode was wrapping up. I thought we were like near the end of the episode as they were going home singing their songs and everyone learned a little something.
Well, they did like sort of meta explain, is this the end of our series of adventures?
Yeah.
Hated that.
I get what you're saying, and it is a bit of a good move to sweep the rug from you, but it does happen, at the end of the second act, which does make the whole Vegas wives storyline thing feel a bit crammed, I
It
think.
feels a bit exhausting because you've just had this whole arc and you were like emotionally ready for the end of the episode. And suddenly you're supposed to get totally invested in a whole new arc.
Yeah, I think if they'd just picked up the pace in the first half a little bit and, maybe just had it at the end of the first arc, then you'd still have enough time that the second part wouldn't feel rushed and the first part wouldn't feel pointless. Because it's so, the fact that they put all this work into like making their family good, and then like the caseworker's super happy, and then as soon as he sees the Vegas wives, he just like gives up on them and walks away. And so it's almost like two completely separate episodes mushed into one.
Kind of should have stuck
Absolutely.
around and helped them sort that out, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hook into the questionnaire and get deep into our thoughts on this episode. Danny, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's something that stands out to you?
That was actually something that stuck out.
I know it's a hard word, right?
You get me.
I do.
That really stood out to me, for better or worse, was him running away and leaving. Like, the second they're like, I'm Mrs. Homer Simpson looking for old homie McMoney, and he's like, oh, you are beyond help. Oh, you got to do that into the microphone. Into the mic.
Yeah.
Grip it and rip it.
No, Jordan.
You were saying Homie McWomey of the popular animated sitcoms, the McWomies.
And yeah, Woodrow J. Fisherman was like, oh, there's no helping you. You truly are scum amongst scum. I mean, he clearly got married before he was taught how to be a better person. Isn't that like self-defeating?
Well, a caseworker walking away from a family known to have issues with domestic violence at a time when they would
God.
all be going through like massive amounts of emotional turmoil. Like, it's not the smartest move.
He was paid for 3 days, and 3 days is what he will work.
BT, how about you? Well, for better or worse, what's something that stands out to you?
All right, that whole Wiggum exchange was goddamn amazing. When it's, okay, everyone turn to the left, they bump each other. All right, you know what? I don't see 5 sugar plums. I see 5 guys who don't know their moves and don't care. There, I said it.
That was
And then the phone
amazing. That
rings
was
and he's all
incredible.
like, oh, that better be wardrobe and that better be good news. Just, oh my God, that whole bit was like cut from a better episode.
I love that as well. The cut to it is like them fighting and like Maggie pressing the domestic violence, and you think
Yeah.
the 5 of them are going to be in the lineup, and
Yeah.
then that it's someone
Yeah.
else entirely is so good to start, and then all of the rest is good.
And launches a whole bunch of jokes from that.
Yeah, that's something that's giving me conflict about this episode, is that there are a lot of isolated bits that I do like and love, and
Yes.
I've quoted over the years, and it's
Yeah.
weird. I've got a big conflict going into this episode.
And I pre-laughed at, well, I thought a guy with 2 wives would be happy. Well, you're thinking of a guy with 2 knives. I gotta tell you guys, it was pretty good.
This joke is so fucking dumb, and I should hate it by every measure of what I judge jokes on this
100%
podcast.
delivery from Mo on that. Even at the end, he's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's got the big smile and he is so happy. And it's 3 swings at the apple and each one really lands, you know?
like, I can't believe this. It's one of those like iconic moments that is quite late in the good run. Essentially, it was maybe not even in a what you would call a good season, but yeah.
I think that's part of the problem with the episode, though, is that despite the fact that there's a lot of good jokes, the jokes aren't really related to the plot in any way.
Well, that's the thing. The
exactly
two knives thing, it's a total cutaway joke.
Yeah.
They're into the bar for that joke and then they cut away to
So
something
is Wiggum's
else.
shoe plum bit. I mean, that's
Yes.
Well, no, that was related to the plot because Maggie called up 911.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they
the knives
cut
were
to-
because they say a man with 2 wives would be happy.
Yeah, but it's not functioning
It's a
as a part of the plot.
No, it's not functioning as a part of the plot. They cut into the police scene where they have their own jokes, and then the police stop that, and then they take the call. You know?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. I'm with Dan. I don't think that's part of the plot either. I didn't count that as a plot-based joke
It springs out from
because it's not by anyone that's actually participating in the plot.
How about you, Jordan? What stands out to you for better or worse?
It's little stupid things. Either it's going to be that I want to know how to play a necrobopoly.
It's like any Star Wars or Rust or what was the other one?
Gallipolyopoly,
Gallipoli, which is
Oh,
a very
Gallipoli.
weird American
it's a strange
reference.
American reference because, it wouldn't make sense, I would have thought, to an American
Yeah,
audience.
I always thought about that.
Okay. But I think it's the stupid thing that made me laugh is the wolves and cougars in a huddle and then like
That I
looking
love.
up at them, seeing that they're
Yeah.
listening in and like
Yeah.
shuffling off to the side and,
And then
continuing their conversation.
Yeah, I love the whole
So
wolves and
fucking
cougars
good.
bit because we're working as a team, but so are the wolves and cougars.
It's really silly absurdist, but the joke writing is just so tight. The pacing, the timing, the beats, the delivery.
The roast beef is making them stronger and the falafel is making them angrier.
Then they drink the
Yeah.
beer and hey, they're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that on Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
I
He
think
was
so,
doing his
yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield, right?
Again, conflict because, that isolated scene, amazing.
That's it, man. The team of joke writers is better than the team of script writers today.
How about you, Claire? What stands out to you for better or worse?
Well, I think this episode, despite being about yet another breakdown in Homer and Marge's marriage, had very little heart in it. And I know that that's got its own separate section, but that's what stood out to me because I kept noticing parts where you would expect them to maybe like linger on that beat a little bit longer to see like Homer's reaction to being kicked out or see more of Marge's reaction to the situation. And they just kept cutting away to like fit in more jokes. And that really stood out to me in an episode that you would expect to be more heartfelt, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, they have moments like Homer, climbing the treehouse, looks in, looks at Marge. He's like, well, she doesn't want me. And then walks up to the treehouse and then sees Amber, I think. And then is like, well, I don't want to be with her. Kind of walks down and tries to get into the doghouse. And then his head's stuck. And then I was like, oh, he's both in the literal and figurative doghouse. Yes, quite.
I see what you did there, Joel
But
H. Cohen.
What I didn't like was the follow-on from that was Marge looking at him bumbling around with the doghouse on his head and like turns to a smile. And I get that, like she's probably thinking like, oh, he used to do stupid stuff and had a good memory, but like they're really, again, in all of these plots, in all of the other episodes, most of them, there's no reason for her to really forgive him so easily and like be on his side, and it annoyed me.
Well, the part that annoyed me and I think kind of ruined the whole wife plot a little bit was, Marge invites Homer in to talk about the bigamy and they have this fake fight that they're trying to trigger like Homer and his Vegas wife going out and getting drunk. But they didn't let the audience work it out themselves.
Yeah, they immediately have the whole family doing a smile and a thumbs up.
Wink
to each
at the
other.
camera.
Exactly. So I would have liked if they just hadn't done that, hadn't pointed out, because it was it's a relatively obvious plot point.
Yeah.
They had coming to talk, and then they have this fight with not that much context. But they didn't really need like Marge, Bart, and Lisa all like leaning around the door, like, this is what we actually wanted. Like they should have just left that out, left you guessing a little bit
As
more.
though they're like, no one feel any suspense. Don't worry.
I mean, look, even just the thumbs up, I think, would have been okay. It would still be too much. But then them peering around the door at the bar was the thing that was just like, you've doubled down and it's made it even worse as a result.
Also, Amber was right to call them out for their shitty plan. They drugged a woman. That's horrible.
Yeah, they drugged a woman. That's not cool.
And what stands out to me is the first half of the first act is absolutely pointless. Like, I love seeing the Republican Party that they depict in The Simpsons, but
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
like any of these jokes. And then the acid rain was bullshit. And if all it was leading to was the board game, then there's so many easier avenues into this.
Yeah, start with Itchy and Scratchy, then go, it's all too... Marge is all like, you never watch anything wholesome. Why don't we play a family board game? That'll get us all together.
Snow day.
Yeah.
Anything else is fine.
Just regular rain, not acid rain.
Exactly. And like regular lightning that hits if you
Yeah.
really need the TV to be destroyed. There's
Yeah,
much
sure.
easier ways to do that.
Rather than have this fucking 30-second bit of Homer running in and
Yeah.
out of the house
Yeah,
screaming.
didn't like that part. Didn't mind at least wait until the squirrels have stopped melting before we go outside, because that is just a very visceral image that I'd like to clean
Very
from my
visceral
brain.
image.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. Why acid rain? Like,
Because it stings like a glue bikini
Yeah, but-
wax.
I mean, that's an arc that's never wrapped up. Now there's acid rain in The Simpsons.
That's definitely a euphemism for
Let's go
something, and I'm going
bikini
to figure it out by the
Let's
end
go
of this
bikini
episode.
wax.
Look, I'm with you. Like, there's no point to the acid rain scene. I was hoping, like, that could have easily been its own little, like, Lisa episode
Yeah.
on its own, you know, Lisa the environmentalist, because she looked terribly distressed throughout that whole first part. And then, yeah, like you said, nobody ever talks about it again. Like, this family has bigger problems than domestic violence.
Yeah.
You know, the whole house is melting.
And the Republicans have still made saving the environment illegal for some reason. At the
Yeah.
start of the episode, that's
Yeah.
still illegal.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there have been...
that's happened, so yeah.
Well, I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the point of the episode, and even like between them starting and finishing Monopoly, like
Yeah.
the weather came good again.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a major thing to have happened in the Simpsons world that it isn't unhappened by the end of the story.
yeah. Also, another question: if your family get caught up in a domestic dispute, is it common practice to put you all in the same jail cell afterwards?
Or
That's
in jail at all.
Yeah,
Especially, like, the children.
Yeah.
Like,
with
why
their
did
parents that they were previously violent
Yeah,
with.
two people that were fighting into the same cell seems weird.
Yeah. Assume it was a holding cell. and not actual jail.
Hell in a cell. Plunge 43 feet through the roof of the... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, we've seen Mankind versus Undertaker. Play count. Have you seen this episode before today?
I have, but obviously not as much as I thought I had.
I must have seen it at least once because I recognize bits, but I don't remember it.
But meme culture could have also held up some of those songs.
Probably.
I've definitely seen it before, but again, there's a lot that I didn't remember.
Severalopoly.
Hey. Actually, yeah, pausing again. Edna Krabopoly, amazing pun.
Isn't it?
We need to work out what her tokens would be. I'm calling Lonely Hearts Chef's Soup for one.
Oh,
Would be
yeah,
one of them.
Martini glass.
I've got a bra draped over the back of the bed.
Oh,
Yes.
soup for one, salad for one, wine for three.
And ashtray.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and you win like pieces of her heart. Oh. Instead of properties, you know.
That was Janis Joplin that sang that song, by the way. Not Edna Krabappel.
You sure?
Oh man, I would listen to either version.
Take it. Ha! Take another little piece of my heart.
Yeah.
You know you bought it if you buy it with things.
Watch 30 Rock now available on standard.
Synonyms, just another word for the word you want to use.
God, I love that bit.
Yeah, I've seen it before. This is one of those strange episodes where all the way up until Act 3, I'm like, wait, which episode is this again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really expecting you to stop and be like, hang on, this isn't the one with them in it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the episode was over and they were in it somehow.
So much happens.
That part, like where the Vegas Waves show up, like you already kind of said, but I really thought it was the end of the third act. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how small is this little cameo bit
Yeah,
going to be?
yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, there is another whole like 7 minutes. I swear we'd finished.
It's amazing how they can make it feel like a third act just by like, where we're driving home, we're singing, we're smiling, everybody's happy.
Well, you had your big tense action sequence,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
That's the rope-a-dope. That's how they get you. Make you think it's over, then smack. You got more.
Damn, Ollie. Wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Oh yeah.
Quite a few.
Millhouse has stigmata.
Milhouse has stigmata.
Again, weird aside.
Yeah. Another thing that's never addressed. The cougars and jackals learn how to scale and slingshot catapult and stuff.
Yep.
Yep,
But
yep.
hang on, going back to the stigmata, it bothered me because a counselor would not help with that.
No.
No.
Like, you need like an exorcism.
An old
or something.
priest and a young
priest.
Old priest and you.
Like, yeah, and this sort of bugged me in this moment as well because I actually enjoyed like the checking out all the family's different faults, like seeing Marge like does practice dinners.
Yes.
Yeah, that was amazing. Another thing that was totally not addressed more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it should have been. It sucks that it was a family conflict story that turned into a Homer is a shithead.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
Sure is.
Because, yeah, it's seeing Lisa as well with the stress ball 10 more years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some dark shit. Let's explore that.
Yeah, just because they save someone from wolves and cougars, that doesn't mean their problems are solved. This counselor sucks.
Yeah.
Also, Bart may go to college in 8 years.
Oh, honey.
Good joke.
The wetlands can be flushed down the plug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pulling out a giant
Yeah.
plug, a comically huge plug.
Actually, although I will say, even though, this whole first bit was pointless and I didn't like a lot of it, I did love the escalating blinky fish. And you saw the blinky evolutions. The missing blink, if you will.
As if Homer would
I
ever
will.
swim for fun.
He was swimming for food.
True.
He was fishing for fishies.
Bob Dole reads from the actual number Necronomicon. Yep.
Bit weird.
Oh, was that a quote from the book?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it, Elliot.
Oh,
I don't know
actually,
what you're
I forgot
talking
to
about.
watch. Was he holding his pen in this one?
Oh, I didn't see it.
No, I think he was holding the book with both hands, actually, but I didn't see if there was a pen.
I will say I really like Nelson noogieing the owl. Stop endangering yourself. Stop endangering yourself.
It looked good. It was pretty, you know?
Yeah, it was visually pleasing gag.
Yeah.
And who could forget the smoke factory and the daycare just spewing out smokes out of their smokestacks.
Yeah, good
Springfield,
old
home of smokestacks.
smokestack playlist, absolutely. Any other wacky moments?
I do like how into Monopoly they get, like when Homer...
Yeah, that was pretty
when-
wacky.
When Bart's like, Homer's like, sorry, come on, I'm good for it. Bart's like, I don't know, you've been in jail 3 times.
Yeah.
They told me it would be like this on the outside.
Okay, I just looked it up. He does have his right hand down by his side, but you can't see the pen, but it is like, it's kind of under the table, but he does have one hand down by his side.
And the dude's still got enough strength in the other arm to hold up the entire Necronomicon.
Yes.
Necronomicon.
What's the Necronomicon?
Necronomicon. That's a book of necks,
At Comic-Con.
I guess. Necks at Comic-Con. Neckbeards at Comic-Con.
Who's the guy that's like People of New York? That's his like new spin-off.
Humans of New York or something.
Yeah. Next of Comic-Con.
Next Comic-Con.
Oh, like that guy that goes to the Magic the Gathering
butt crack
tournament
guy.
and like poses in front of the butts. You know what I'm talking about?
Poses in
No.
front of bats or butts?
Butts,
Oh,
the butt
the
cracks hanging out from behind
Oh,
chairs.
really?
Have you seen the? No. Okay, hold on. I'll show you after this.
I got so much
We'll be
to learn
right
today. But look, I mean, there's probably more wackiness to go over, but how about the heart of this episode? I feel like we can knock this out quickly.
Oh, yeah, easily. Wickham's love for the Nutcracker Suite, without a question.
It's beautiful, man. His passion is just, you can feel it. And I dropped my pen for the second time this index.
That was a big drop, man. Pen
Yeah.
drop.
Like, if that was in the club, all the people would have been dancing to that drop.
When will the bass drop? When will the
Damn.
bass drop?
I'm bad at everything.
Especially appearing to be not white.
Holding pens and not being remotely the whitest dude in the room.
I had a heart that is crossed out where Homer is talking about his family in the bar and he says, and the fat guy, I hate that guy. And I'm like, it's kind of sad and should be a cry for help to his fucking social worker.
And girl part.
Yeah.
And the one that doesn't talk.
And especially because he's slurring his speech. It takes fucking forever.
All right. So I previously stated that I don't feel there is really any heart, but I will give a little nod to Ned Flanders honoring his marital vows
That
and
was
trying to do
very
his
sweet.
best
Yeah.
by his new wife.
What a problem that this whole thing was crammed in the last act of the episode, though, right? Because we only get like 2-3 scenes of this.
Yeah.
And that could have been like a whole enjoyable plot in and of itself. Like what I was saying in the last episode, seeing the Flanders family from their own perspective compared to other people's perspective
Yeah.
is really interesting because like internally they're all so similar to each other. It makes sense. But to anyone else, it seems like a weird and creepy cult. And so like her reaction to it all is quite like, it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I would say this was the right amount of it. Any more and it's going to start wearing the joke thin because all it is really their clean living doesn't fit her life. And that's going to be that again and again. And then that's it. So I think there's enough there.
I don't know. They could have done like a little throwback joke because, like, in the first part of this 2-parter, Homer keeps making the joke like, "You want to swap wives? You want to swap wives?"
Yeah.
And maybe she could have been like, "You want to swap husbands?" Like, because she's looking at slovenly Homer or something like that. Like, I think they could have done more with it if they needed to fill out a couple more acts rather than just the last act.
Well, I like the idea of Flanders just showing his love more than the idea of the Simpsons drugging and raping that wife.
No one raped.
Grandpa had sex with her.
Yeah, and he didn't want to. So
Well,
she raped him.
Yeah, but they got her drunk and then had sex with her.
Yeah, nobody was consenting in that situation. It's bleak. It's
Remember,
dark.
she wouldn't take I can't for an answer.
Yeah, but that's still.
But she was drugged.
She wasn't capable of like consenting either.
Yeah, I mean, considering, yes, he's old and feeble, but I mean, best case scenario is he couldn't get away, so he didn't want to. She couldn't consent, and you've got a family outside letting their elderly grandfather/father get assaulted by a woman that they have drugged. Like, it's all very, very dark.
If you disassemble
You know
it, it gets worse.
that Reddit subreddit, Am I the Arsehole? Yeah, I vote this one, everybody sucks.
Yeah, everyone does.
They drugged her and made her sign legal documents, like life-changing legal documents.
Which itself is not legal. You cannot sign legal documents if you're impaired.
Well, I mean, they shouldn't have been able to get married in the first place. I mean, Homer and Flanders.
Oh, they did kiss each other. That means they're married to each other.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I did want to bring that up as a quick Jordan's anal corner.
Bro, corner.
Is that the tape is different.
Yeah.
We saw the tape in the last episode.
Yeah.
It was different to this episode.
Hey, while
I
we're there,
object.
Where?
while we're in
The classy anal corner.
Marge at one point says, if I'd known there were loose women in Vegas, I never would have let you go. She
didn't.
Not even involved in the conversation at all.
No.
Don't try and retcon this shit.
Homer was working in the impulse zone, which we know to be slightly above the eyebrows.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the whole Amber drugging thing sucks. There is one line out of that whole thing that I think we really did like, which was Grandpa going, "Are you ready for round 2?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, thank God." Like, such a good line and delivery, but it's done in such a shitty situation.
Yeah, agreed. You know what? The whole premise of the fact that he went to get his marriage annulled and the judge said, "No, you're not allowed to," is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Guest star of the episode, Jane Kex-Merrick, returning as Judge Constance Harm.
yeah, Judge Judy ripoff. Yeah. Like, I know that that's why they did it, to, sort of get rid of the obvious solution to this, but they could have at least had it, like she's faking that but we've consummated, and like you'd have to go through a full divorce. I'm going to take half your house, or like something that would make that believable, which they could have done if they'd left themselves more time.
Yeah, the stipulations of a divorce thing sounds like the easy out for that, yeah. But ultimately, would you watch it again?
Yeah, sure, if it's on.
Yeah, if it
I
was
got some
already
laughs.
on, I would probably watch it, at least for, the jokes that I know that are coming.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it joke for joke and just like kind of admire its points without worrying about its flaws so much.
Yeah, okay. I will too.
If everyone else is watching it, if it's on. All right, well, episodes that we might watch again, we'd like to think about what playlist they go in.
Vegas again.
Yeah, so you could do a whole 4-episode arc, 1 episode per season with Ned doing this. So starting with Viva Ned Flanders, then Maud dies, then Praiseland, and then capping it off with this.
Burns' evil Republican
Yeah,
castles.
Republican
Oh,
Party.
yep.
And maybe the Stonecutters might fit in that as well, sort
And,
of.
Smokestacks, of course.
Yep.
Smokestacks, definitely.
Mocking Lisa for what university she's going to.
Oh, yeah.
So here's
Oh,
you're going to
yeah.
Stanford, and then I'm pretty sure they say not
Stanford.
Brown.
Homer sex noises.
Wow, that was
that
another
was
part I
sandwich
forgot to-
noises.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's Homer sex noises.
That's
I really didn't like that joke, but I did like that Marge was listening and being like, she's making him a sandwich.
she
Like,
knows
For
what that
real.
sounds
that
like.
that was the only part of it that like redeemed that
Yeah,
joke.
agreed.
But that was still him cheating on her, like emotionally cheating or sandwichly cheating.
Have you never had anyone else make food for you?
Not like that. I mean, did you hear the guy?
Yeah.
Not with both hands.
Yeah. But, like, that was still him cheating on her. And then she still is very forgiving quickly without any sort of hubris
Actual
or...
effort on his behalf.
I feel like it would have been easier to forgive without that scene in it.
Okay, serious question though. When he says we didn't make Whoopi, not even mouth Whoopi, does he mean kiss or does he mean
Nope.
like
No.
oral?
Oh, I didn't think about it that way.
I've always
I
wondered.
did, and I do not like that joke.
I assumed it had to have been kiss though.
No way,
because-
man.
Yeah.
Mouth
But why else would you
whooping.
use mouth Whoopi? Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, no.
so he didn't rule out hand whoopee.
No, he did not.
Or
you know.
OTP whoopee.
I'm going to regret asking this. What?
Oh, over the pants.
Oh, right.
We shouldn't
Right.
have said that in unison.
How about mutual self whoopee?
Because, I mean, much like in many other situations, you don't want to think about these characters in terms of the actual mechanics of anything sexual.
Well, I was about to say with Homer's sex noises, remember Camp Krusty?
Oh, I remember.
Where he made those
And that's why I
Tarzan
know
calls as he
this
came.
This is how
Oh,
you can tell the
wow.
difference between Homer ejaculating and Homer just getting a sandwich made. And I don't want to know that, but I do. God damn you, Camp Krusty. God damn you to hell.
Oh, another playlist would be just like Simpson robots.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are quite a few,
Yeah,
like
that's
Linguo
probably-
and
Yeah,
like
I
the,
didn't mind Brenda.
Father, give me legs.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Brenda as well and like saying, no, this is my bust, but...
Didn't like the-
Yes, that
Oh, I
killed it
thought
for
you
me.
meant what Republican was it again? That came back as a robot, as like a Disney bot.
Oh, there was that too.
Yeah.
A lot of
Oh,
robots in this
Strong
episode.
Thurman. I have no idea who that is.
It's like the vampire, though. Blair.
Yeah, Dracula. There's always Dracula on the
But
Council
yeah.
of Evil.
No, but this is still, I think this is the weakest Republican headquarters thing that I've seen, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're almost there. Jordan, we'll start with you this time. What would you like to change about this episode?
If you're going to do a Vegas Wives episode, you got to bring them in sooner. I think you could almost just remove that entire second act. I don't think you need to go through the whole social worker arc, or like just make that the episode.
Yeah.
I think just eradicate that, spend more time in the because I would have liked to have seen Ned try and do more and her kind of trying to like go, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And then finally leaving, but it's just very quick and dirty, his side of that story.
How about you, BT? What would you like to change?
Well, I just looked up what RU46 was. I'm
Yeah,
sad.
me too. It's very, very sad. I don't want that in the
Yeah.
episode either.
The Vegas wife wakes up and is like, hangover, aspirin, RU46. It's a like late abortion drug.
Early. It's like
Early
a morning
abortion
after.
drug.
Early. It's a
Yeah.
morning after pill essentially.
She takes a good half bottle of
And
that.
just
Yeah.
by like default, that yeah, uncomfortable. What I want to change, man, I think you could get rid of that entire first act and then keep the counselor around and have him try to steer them through this like a Sherry Bobbins. Yeah, that.
He seems like he'd have good songs too.
But yeah, I think get to the housewives quicker. No, he was not great at singing Man on the Run or Band on the Run.
Oh, that's true. Fuck, that was so on the nose.
That was a terrible
I've
joke.
earned my wings, this CD. Fuck you. Anyway, that guy, Gabriel, was played by Delroy Lindo.
Yep.
The Delroy Lindo?
I know him as Detective Castlebeck from Gone in 60 Seconds.
There you go.
Well, there you
Oh,
go.
the
Oh,
Delroy.
him.
Yeah.
How about you, Danny? What would you like to change?
Fuck, so much, man. I mean, so much, man. I don't like the Republican scene, but I do like environmental laws. Suddenly everything's going to crap as like a classic Simpsons concept. That's a great story they could have explored and didn't. The acid rain thing, that was going somewhere. Didn't. I would have loved to have gone with that. Or I would have loved to have stayed with Ranger Stacy and is like, did they actually go to Africa or were there like wolves and cougars and things somewhere out of Springfield?
Yeah,
Or-
Springfield Woods.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
filled with lots of animals.
It felt like they were really
goodness.
doing like a Pride Rock sort of like, long live the king.
no, you're thinking about the Circle of Life.
Yeah,
I gotta
of
tell you,
course,
this is
of
pretty
course.
fantastic.
I feel like they did drop the angel card a few too many times.
Yeah.
Too many bites at that apple. Didn't do it for me. Or he could have come back at the last second and been like, I've had a change of heart and like saved the day somehow. I'm going to cut the wives out entirely because I didn't like the date rape stuff. I wasn't very comfortable with it. I don't know how to rewrite that better without the Simpsons family still being awful to try and get out of a wedding to someone who hasn't got a lot of money and was hoping to, you know, find a nice life. She came here to live with them and be happier. It's not, I mean, it's weird, but let's get her drunk and fuck her life over just to get rid of her is awful. That's like sending Poochie off to space to die on the way and never come back.
I don't think that's that awful.
Oh, you mean Poochie because Poochie didn't get drugged and raped?
How about you, Claire? What would you like to change?
Dear God. Okay, well, I've already sort of, I think we've all gone over the fact that this could be split into at least 2 other episodes. You could easily do that. But one thing that I was sort of thinking about was I wish that The Simpsons could find a halfway point between Suburbia and like Cocktail Waitress, because those cocktail waitresses are like they don't know what the shower is. They haven't seen like
Yeah.
a second level of a house. I mean, yes, that's part of the joke, but it's almost like Cletus level inability to look after yourself.
Yeah, but and they also work in a hotel. They're familiar with
Exactly.
indoor plumbing. Like,
And I'm just like, oh, it made it feel gross.
Yeah.
I felt a bit gross about it. I just wish that they had been more like cunning and manipulative as opposed to like
Scummy.
Scummy. Yeah, exactly. And I think if you could expand the plot line, give them a bit more time. But yeah, I just don't want them to be that gross, like happy to live in a tree house and like all this other stuff. It's weird, you know?
Yeah.
I'm actually like surprised that yours is a very good idea. Just remove the Vegas Story wives entirely.
Don't need them.
I keep going to call them Vegas Story wives. But like, just suppose this episode does rely on them being here is like, then don't have the setup of the families all at each other's throats. Because, yeah, the family don't really come together at the end to fix this problem to justify, you know, the journey that they've been on together. This is a Homer fuck-up storyline happening at the end of the family storyline.
Oh.
And there's so much more character development that you can be doing with each of the four, well, Maggie as well, but effectively four of them, which all have their own faults. And, like, watching them learn all this from each other and learn how they're hurting each other, like... And I think it's also having Monopoly as a way to bring that out because it is such an evil, awful game. Like, yeah, how do those Parker brothers sleep at night?
Everyone plays it wrong. It's our fault.
So I was just going to say, on all the money that they stole from the person that they actually ripped the game from.
Yes, the woman who made it as a board game.
The landlord game, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Pick me, teacher. Teacher, pick me. I'm ever so smart.
Yes, you in the end of the table.
Okay. Flanders used to be a Boy Scout, right?
Yeah.
Like a scout leader?
Yeah.
Troop leader?
Yeah. So you're thinking build a snare trap.
Yeah.
Catch the Vegas wives.
Fling them over the forest.
Never see them again.
No. He should be doing the Gabriel thing. You see, what needs to happen?
So hey, Homer, the church assigned me as your counselor.
That's simple, easy to replace him in. But what needs to happen is, in the first episode, Ned comes to Homer to learn more about being wild and reckless. In the second episode, Homer needs to come to Ned to learn more about being a better person.
Yeah,
and the
that's
circle
smart.
is complete.
And also, the Vegas wives don't have any real reason to return to either because they said goodbye to them and they were angry at them. Like, this isn't a bigger plan that they had or anything. It's just they decide to rock up one day. It's literally out of nowhere. And if their original goal was to put a bow on that other story, yeah, I think they didn't succeed at it. All right, we are here. Claire, do you have any other notes?
I was a bit sad with, like, obviously Bart taking all of Homer's money in Monopoly and then, like, Marge defending Bart's cheating because, you know, she bought him a house. I mean, he bought her a house. You know, Bart's sort of like, well, who else is going to look after him, you know?
Yeah.
And it just, it made me a little bit sad because obviously he's already feeling the pressure to look after his mum because Homer's useless.
Well, I mean, that's something that I really liked because it's reinforcing family dynamics and especially Marge as an enabler.
Also, there's the heart of the episode. Bart buys his mum a house.
It is a little bit of a bumps because it is Bart, like you said, you know, there's Marge the enabler, but there's also Bart the not actually a bad kid.
Yeah.
Like,
he's aware
does
of
love his mum.
of his role in life, effectively.
He's going to lie, cheat, and steal and Lego pieces to give the family the care that they need.
Yep.
How about you, BT? Any other notes?
As always. I really hated shootality. That sucked. Bothered me a lot.
Well, yeah, like police brutality and police shootality, especially
Why would
in
you
today's
encase
climate,
people in
it's worse.
taffy, though? Doesn't make sense.
Police brutality.
Haven't
It's
you
bad.
seen the original Hulk with Eric Bana?
Yeah.
That was Taffy too, and I worked on him.
Was
Really?
it, though? See, all it took to derail your argument was was it, though?
I mean, you don't know.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how much higher can my voice go?
I don't know. Let's find
I
out.
don't know. Let's
Penis.
find out. Well, we don't use the I word in this house. Irish up this coffee. And smokers are jokers. That's always a classic line.
As was proven in the Joaquin Phoenix movie.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, wait, no, that Joker is smoker.
Yes.
Where are you going with this,
You know what?
man?
It's hot, and I think we're all dying a little.
Yes, a little. How about you, Jordan? Any other notes?
The other joke I didn't like was Homer saying something to the effect of, "Oh, why do all these things come and bite me in the ass?" And then he turns around and there's a squirrel there
Biting
him in the
ass.
ass. And the other thing that was just like a bit, the social worker at the end is like, "You all broke out of your roles and you helped them." Like, not really. They just stayed in their lane and they
Yeah.
did the exact same thing they usually would.
Homer did something stupid and impulsive. Bart, did something rapscallion-esque by having his own set of car
Lisa
keys.
did nothing because they don't know how to write for
Well,
her.
she allegedly made a plan.
Uh-huh.
Why did the three weakest members of the family lower the fattest one down
Thank
into the
you.
rock?
Because he was fat enough to pull the other guy up.
He's expendable.
No, but like the rope does all the bearing of the weight. Like it should have been Marge. It's time to rank this thing, and I do not envy the person who has to go first. Shag.
Damn. I could almost say silver just for the jokes, but I know I keep saying it, but the
Uncomfortable
druggy,
scumminess at
uncomfortable.
the end.
Thank you. Definitely put a damper on that. The more we talk about it, the less happy I am with this as an episode, you know? I like the first bit, but not the first bit and the acid rain and the Republicans. And I didn't really like the end bit. I kind of like that middle bit, sort of. But you're right, they didn't change or learn anything or grow, and they do just retcon it out with any participant again.
Jordan.
Yeah, I'm at a very kind of
But the jokes were funny.
Yeah, it's a problem.
yeah, some of them were good. I'm just at a kind of a boring bronze. I'm kind of numb from it, but parts of it were pretty good. But if it's on, it's on, but I'll be doing something else.
Yeah. Look, this conversation has helped and made it a bit more clear in my mind because, yeah, there are a few bits that, like, I almost want to give it a positive ranking just to justify my own liking these jokes and quoting them over the years. But the simple fact is there's a few HD era episodes that I still quote, even though the episodes themselves are remarkably shitty.
That's it. I can like the jokes and dislike the episode.
Participant. Clare.
I'm also going for a participant. The jokes were good, but if you don't have the plot to back it up, then it's only trying to be an episode.
Yeah.
You know? It's almost like they had the jokes first and then they tried to write a plot around it based on whatever they could pull out of their ass. So yeah, participant for me.
And BT, finish it off.
Man, if you had just taken my initial reaction off the episode as I first walked in, I probably would have gone with a participant because, you know, I enjoyed it, I had time. But in the deconstruction and talking about it and seeing what else fit together and how it worked, I kind of noticed there was more... The driving force of jokes does not cover over the bumps in the road of the plot, so I'm a little split on it, but I am going to go with a gut ranking of participant.
And averaging out, this will be a shiny participant.
That's roughly where I would like to see it. Dull bronze, shiny participant is where this belongs.
And it'll be the third episode from season 13 to be dubbed a shiny participant. It'll be joining Tales from the Public Domain, which, BT, we reviewed with Nick from Pods in the Key of Springfield.
Like and subscribe.
Indeed. And also Gump Roast, which we recently reviewed in our Wasteland special.
Wasteland Madness.
Oh, fuck that.
You bronzed it.
Yeah, I know, but I like this one more than that one. Anyway, fine, whatever.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, that about does it for our portion of the two-parter special. Thank you guys for joining me this evening.
Thank
I
you.
guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, see, this is why we started doing the Simpsons Index, worst to best episodes.
Yeah, we're kind of just like, oh, well,
All
see
out
you
of-
later, Elliot.
Yeah.
We haven't got the cream to go with our Brussels sprouts.
Dude, cream does not go with Brussels sprouts.
I thought you said you made banoffee pie, not brussels pie.
Oh, did I
Where's your face?
mislead
Need to hit
you?
it.
I do apologize. It is definitely a Brussels-based pie.
You monster. You didn't say there'd be custard.
Like 4 podcasts in a row where we mention Artie Donna. All right, stick around for our review with Pods in the Key of Springfield.
Yay, pods!
We love you guys.
With James and Nick?
The James and Nick.
No,
The one who sometimes is also called Jekyll?
Yes.
Wow.
Is that true?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
James is short for Jekyll.
And we are back, and we've changed the lineup again, and I am joined all the way from Adelaide by James
Yes, that's me. I'm James. Hello.
and Nick
Hey everyone,
from Pods
in the key.
of
Springfield.
Field.
Field.
Pods in the Key of Springfield. It's a podcast.
Seamless as always, gentlemen.
Good shit.
That's the level of professionalism you can expect from our podcast, which has not been updated since, I think, maybe September.
Well, for now, thank you for joining us for the Index, the final portion of our big 2-part extravaganza. We just watched Season 3, Episode 24, and exciting news, this is the last Episode 24 of a Simpsons episode that this Index are reviewing. We've done them all now.
You've done
really?
every episode 24?
Yes,
Have you done that one episode that was a parody of the TV show 24?
indeed we have.
I was about to say you've done the Jack Bauer special. You've done all the 24s.
Yeah, that's right. We jacked it.
The episode called 24 Minutes?
Jack-
That episode's not bad, isn't it?
No, it did pretty well. I think it got like dull silver, shiny bronze on our scale.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
I would like to pitch to you. I think you should maybe have like a new level that Simpsons episodes can achieve, or maybe it should replace cubic zirconia. Maybe I can come in and wreck your whole system.
3.5 years deep into it. Yeah, what do you got?
I was thinking maybe you could have the Simpsons Index Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Oh, what's that a reference to? This episode, Brother, Can You Spare Two Dimes? First released in August of 1992, directed by Rich Moore, written by John Swartzwelder.
John Swartzwelder.
Oh, I just read John Swartzwelder's first book the other day.
Oh, The Time Machine did it?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Pretty good, pretty solid, a bit wild in places, but it's fun. I liked it.
I haven't read it for a few years. Does it, hold up, or...?
I'd say so. I read it very casually over a few sittings. I don't know, it's a good, toilet time read, I think. It's,
How casual are you in the toilet?
More casual than I should be.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes the shit just falls right out of me.
Oh.
And casual dressed?
Moderately. I take my tie off.
Does a bear wear a tie while shitting in the woods? Anyway.
I don't know.
Gee, Yogi, I don't think the ranger's gonna like you using his tie to wipe your shit.
To wipe your shit. Not just wipe your butt, but specifically wipe your shit.
That's a good point.
That's the Yogi Bear Index. Yeah, this episode, Herb returns and makes a baby monitor, the translator, whatever. Guys, what'd you think?
Well, this episode, oh bro, can you spare some dough? The return of Danny DeVito. I liked it a lot.
Spitting bars.
I had a good time, and I enjoyed it, and it was good.
I also liked it and thought it was good.
Yeah, this episode was done sort of a bit after season 3 had officially wrapped, and I think you can sort of tell it in the production moments because there's a bit of cutting corners and a bit of dodgy lip sync going on, but not to detriment the episode too much because, yeah, it's a pretty solid, funny time.
Oh, the PlayStation agrees.
Thank you, PlayStation. There's one bit, and it's interesting that you say that it's wrapped because I didn't know that, but there is one line early on when the couch first breaks and Homer comes in and does his upset reaction. His voice has a really weird compression on it. It sounds like they were using a cheap microphone because his voice sounds very kind of tinny and thin.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, yeah, I didn't know if that was just me.
Yeah, and I wonder if it just means that they didn't have access to the full studio suite, and so they had to kind of bodge together some other solution because it was after the season. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, and there's a scene where Marge and Homer are talking later in bed, and I'm pretty sure they pulled the animation from the Rancho Relaxo episode, because I swear Homer's hand movement is the exact one when he's going, Marge, can I have another sandwich? Marge, can I have another sandwich? But he's talking about how upset about his brother he is.
He just never gets that other sandwich.
So let's start with the questionnaire. Jekyll, we'll start with you. What stands out to you from this episode for better or worse?
I really enjoy the big funny fake award ceremony, and this time, while we were watching it, I started laughing just in the middle of it. And I turned to Nick and I said, why did all these people show up for this? Why is Apu there? Why are people from the town coming for this award ceremony that is just to give Homer an award so that he doesn't sue the plant? And I had a good time with that. I like that Homer's cum is no good. He's got bad cum. That's why they have to give him $2,000.
Yeah, so there is a scene in early Simpsons where Smithers and Burns are looking at Homer's cum.
Yeah.
Is there another spreadsheet called the cum index that currently just has Waylon Smithers in first position and Homer Simpson in last?
Actually, I reckon Barney would rank pretty high on that as well because apparently he's a frequent donor of the sperm.
Oh, when he's a sperm donor. Yeah.
Something that has always bothered me every time I watch this episode is the fact that Smithers' sperm has glasses. I always just think, oh, those tiny little glass fragments, you don't want that.
That's a very good point.
Jesus.
Because also...
I know cum is not the technical term.
Cement.
But also, surely these medical reports are being handled by a medical professional. It appears to just be Smithers as the one who's literally doing all of the testing. I don't know. I thought they would have outsourced that to a doctor.
He's just gone, I'll take that.
I'll take those, thank you. Thank you.
How about you, Nick? What stands out to you for... Oh, wait, no, I was going to say something about your note, Chuckle. Yeah, the awards ceremony that probably cost 10 times what they pay out to Homer was, right?
Yeah, and $2,000 is so little money for a man like Mr. Burns.
I wonder, like, how much more of, like, have we seen the entirety of this ceremony? Was there more fluff that we didn't see?
Did Lenny win a bunch of awards? Best cum?
There would have to be other awards. Like, even just to rent out the hall, you wouldn't do it for 5 minutes. Like, what else was going on?
Yeah. Well, for everyone else to rent a tux as well for those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And to get Joe Fraser as well. One of the guest stars for this episode. What do we think of his performance?
It's funny how clearly he is not an actor. Like, I feel like that works better on some level, how stilted he is. It feels right that this guy just would not be a very good choice for an awards presenter, and he just comes in and reads the dictionary definition of excellence.
Is that actually, like, the real, presumably former heavyweight boxer Joe Fraser?
Yeah.
I think so.
Right. I honestly always, because the performance is so stilted and weird, I assumed it was someone doing a piss take. And then I always found it weird that, you know, what's the name of the boxer they usually use?
Dredrick Tatum.
Dredrick Tatum. It always was a bit weird to me because I thought, this is clearly a piss take of a punch drunk boxer. But it's weird that they didn't use their standard go-to punch drunk boxer. Turns out, no, it's the guy. That puts a really interesting spin on that for me.
I feel like the only line he delivers with real conviction is when he challenges Barney to a fight.
Yes.
Yeah, Barney getting in bar fights with sports stars playlist.
Speaking of which, I have a question for the group here, the three of us.
Yes.
Because I have a thought and I'm not sure which way I lean on it. Would it be funnier if Barney won the fight?
Huh.
I think him winning against Wade Boggs was funny because the argument was so dumb, but I feel like him challenging a heavyweight boxer in this moment, yeah, I think you want the box to win, right?
I do like his blood spraying on the door.
Yeah, I felt like that was censored.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's better to have Barney just get the shit kicked out of him.
I don't know, maybe if Joe Frazier had a bit more personality, it would have been funnier if he had lost.
Maybe.
If he'd been, like, braggadocious.
Oh.
But because he's just, like, he's actually being quite nice to Homer, and he's not really, like, it's like Barney's being a dickhead. I don't know.
Well, especially the implication of him going, Barney, you're gotten on my last nerve, that, yeah, this has been going on for ages, and Barney's just been, like, riling him up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's just trying to eat pickled eggs and talk about Homer's couch.
Have you guys eaten a pickled egg?
No. Have you?
No, I generally don't like pickled things. I'm not a pickle guy.
I like a good pickled cucumber.
Yeah.
A bit of pickled carrot. A bit of pickled onion, like red onion. But not like a big pickled onion.
I like the pickled ginger you get at sushi places. Not the packet stuff, but if the sushi place does fresh pickled ginger, bury me in that.
Maybe I would like a pickled onion, but I don't think I can quite bring myself to bite into an onion Tony Abbott style.
No, but some of the small onions are good. If you get little pickled cocktail onions, they're quite nice.
But pickled egg.
No, a pickled egg is wild.
Pickled egg. Okay.
I'm not even sure that I've seen them anywhere. Like, you can't buy them in a shop. At least not in the supermarket that I go to.
You're not going down the brine aisle?
No.
Brined goods and baby needs, yeah.
Baby needs brine.
Yeah, look, I think I've got to track down a recipe for pickled eggs and see if it's edible. It sounds disgusting, but it'd make good podcast content.
We just need someone to do a sandwich index entry that has pickled eggs, so that when we do the grand party that I assume will be happening for the last episode of Simpsons Index, where we serve a platter of every sandwich on the sandwich index, we can all try pickled eggs.
This just sounds like a Jonestown. A big platter of every sandwich in The Simpsons.
And we're all going to be wearing some Nikes. Oh, no, wait, that's Heaven's Gate.
I mean, we probably will, though. They're a very popular brand of shoe.
It's still amazing. Like, I don't know how many people listening now have listened to the entire back catalogue, but yeah, you guys were the first 2 entrants on the Sandwich Index.
Yeah, we're pretty good at derailing this podcast and then introducing things to into the universe of this podcast. It makes me very happy whenever I hear you guys give a unanimous failure to something.
The index
because
finger.
I was also the inventor of the index finger.
And we've tried to come up with a unanimous cubic version of that and just haven't got anything that has as much resonance as the index finger. So if you could help us out with that one too, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah, that's something that we had a chat offline about a while ago. And I reckon about 4 days later, I replied saying, "Nah, dude, I've got nothing." Like, it's just nothing felt right.
It cannot be done. Oh, God, we're still here. Nick, what stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
The front room is full of couches.
Thank you!
I only realised this tonight. And it was when they were sitting down playing Monopoly, and I was like, that's weird. Why are they all sitting on the floor? And then I was like, because they can't seat them on the couches, or the whole conceit of this episode falls over.
They're very conspicuously not showing the couches.
Yeah. It also sticks out to me that there is a chair that has a setting that can cause hallucinations and possible brain damage. They should probably just knock back the settings a little bit.
The 2001 model, yeah.
What would happen if you sat in that chair and then watched 2001: A Space Odyssey?
And then took acid.
Oh, no. Oh, well, now I can't extrapolate that far.
It was weird that they now have Akira working in a sofa store just so that he can say, "But sir," like George Takei on Star Trek. Like, can't there just be another Japanese man in Springfield?
I thought you were going to say this is another comment on class warfare and people having to work multiple jobs in America's broken system.
I mean, look, that's always at the forefront of my mind.
Elliot, what stood out to you for better or worse?
Oh, yeah, the couch thing as well. And in the last shot of the episode, in, primary lounge room, Homer's got his chair, and also they've got the couch again.
The new couch again. And yeah, is it... Because it looks exactly the same, and it's not explained anywhere.
I mean, I guess they do have that. He gave them the $2,000 back. I guess the implication is that
they went and
spent
bought...
on a couch.
Yeah, but did we see... And maybe we did, but did we see an identical couch that was $2,000 and then Homer got distracted by the chair?
Don't believe so.
No, see, that would have been a fine resolution. If it was $2,000 for a replacement couch or $2,000 for the stupid chair, and then later on we saw they had the replacement couch, I would have been fine with that.
It is funny how much of this episode revolves around the idea that $2,000 is life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$2,000...
Which it can be under certain circumstances.
Under certain circumstances, but I feel like for someone with the economic stature of The Simpsons, given the size of the house they live in and etc., 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 $2,000 is a month-changing amount. It's not a life-changing amount.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely not enough to fund this invention that's, yeah.
But I just sort of tend to just go with it on that, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not too upset that all of that happened because I really like this episode.
Mind you, if it cost $2.50 for a movie ticket in the previous episode, maybe $2,000 is a lot more.
I mean, I don't know. What was the economy like back then? How has inflation gone? $2,000 then is like $40,000 now.
What are movie tickets now? They're like $40,000?
Give or take.
Yeah, so then $2,000 would be like $800,000.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good then.
That's pretty
That
good.
would change my life.
Yeah, okay.
And how many times have you seen this episode?
Like 1,000.
Yep.
Yeah,
Over and over and over again.
30 plus. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like every time this question catches me off guard, and I've never ever considered how many times I've seen these episodes. And I feel like I've done a few episodes of the Simpsons Index now. And once again, I'm doing a very long answer to this fucking question, and I apologise, Elliot.
Yeah, we're Simpsons guys. We've just seen this shit over and over and over again.
Well, no, I keep sort of forgetting that the original reason why I put this question in the questionnaire is to also sort of try and dig for any memories associated with this episode. But I always sort of forget to lead to that.
That's interesting. How many times have you seen this episode, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
Baby.
Baby.
Elliot, how many times have you seen this? What does it mean to you, and how does it make you feel?
Baby.
A lot.
It makes you feel a lot, or you've seen it a lot?
I've seen it a lot. It makes me feel a lot. And also one of the things that stuck with me over the years is that bird thing. And I remember someone got me that once just because I kept quoting "It's drinking the water."
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
really feel like this episode must have increased sales on those birds
Oh, sure.
so dramatically.
Like Seinfeld and the Pears.
And the
What's the deal with Seinfeld and those pears?
And the great thing about the existence of this episode almost certainly increasing the sales of those drinking birds is that Herb says, a simple idea, well marketed. And then they've inadvertently given it a shitload more marketing.
Extraordinary marketing.
Extraordinary marketing. And thereby secured whatever the fuck that company is as a household name for the ages.
Yes. Household bird name.
I believe the guy that invented it was called Harvey Drinking Birdman.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
Attorney at
That caught me off guard.
Sorry, I got you while you were drinking.
I had a mouthful of beer for that one, James.
But anyway, how about the wackiness of this episode? Was this a particularly wacky Simpsons?
I mean, there was a lot of cum in it. That's pretty wacky.
An inordinate amount of cum.
I mean, the fact that if you take the invention at face value, the fact that a bunch of goo-goos and gagas can be understood by millions, I mean, what is this? Dance Monkey by Tones and I?
Ga.
Thanks for stepping on the joke.
Different song. It's fine. We're on it.
It's wacky that he makes a machine that can translate babies.
Yes.
I love that little convention at the end they go to where the items include a dog and a ball. It's just a dog and a big old ball.
That's good.
And Frank just killing his child.
Frank kills a kid.
Also good.
His kid.
Which to me is pretty funny.
You like child death?
I mean, I like that child's death.
I'm going to get us out of this one with another wacky thing.
Aw.
In the awards ceremony, not sure if you noticed this, Elliot, but if Homer is guaranteed to win the award, why did they put him in a box at the back of the theatre? That makes it very hard for him to come down to the stage to collect the award. And then
He made short work of it in the end.
well, yeah, but when he falls out of it, he lands and there's a bunch of instruments clattering. So he fell from a box at the back of the room and landed on the orchestra pit, which is traditionally the thing that's right in front of the stage.
I like to imagine they put him at the back because they had just so little to do in this awards ceremony that they needed to pad it out a bit.
Oh, so they were going to turn it into a bit.
To have him walk.
Yeah.
I also love that the theme from The Simpsons starts playing when he wins. I like the idea that within the world of The Simpsons, this is just like a nice theme that will get played at ceremonies like this.
Exactly. Danny Elfman was the band leader in the orchestra pit, who is now dead.
Yes, he got crushed.
Crushed.
And the rest of the series
Is a Danny Elfman death dream.
every piece of music you hear is from the ghost of Danny Elfman.
Ghost of Danny Elfman, if you'd like to be on the podcast, we'd love to have you. Please hit us up.
I think that's him right now.
I think, you were saying it before. Yeah, the whole baby I keep saying monitor. The whole baby translator thing,
Baby
bit ridiculous,
monitor,
but, the jokes along the way are fun, and, there is something funny about the translator giving Danny DeVito's voice saying baby things.
I love it so much. I love the extremely dry delivery he gives. It is so wonderful. Just, I've soiled myself. How embarrassing. This leash demeans us both. I love it.
Where did you go?
It makes me so happy.
Oh, there you are. Very amusing.
The number of times I've said this leash demeans us both. It's good gear.
I actually forgot in the previous episode the amount of times that I've said those little balls on the antenna. Every car should have one of those. I don't know what it is. Just, these...
The number of times I've combined the two and said those little balls demean us both.
Was this a particularly heartfelt episode?
I really think it is. I think beyond the really obvious stuff about Homer reconnecting with his brother, I think there's a lot of really nice stuff in the margins of this one. I really like that the kids are now referring to him as Unky Herb exclusively and how enthusiastic they are.
Yep.
And this episode has a really lovely little moment in it that I think about all the time, and it makes me weirdly sad. When Herb comes in and Marge comes to greet him, and just in the animation, Herb sort of reaches out his hand, and Marge just immediately hands him Maggie, and he just holds Maggie protectively. Partly because there's a lot of stuff in The Simpsons about Marge not really trusting Homer with Maggie. It's like a frequent thread where Homer's not really able to look after his daughter, whereas Herb just immediately, Marge feels very comfortable handing the baby off to him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just sort of speaks to, like, this friendship these two characters could have that is never really explored further, I think. Like, there's sort of obvious comfort between them. I don't know, like, there's something about this little moment that I think about in my, extremely in-depth, ridiculous, unnecessary thoughts about The Simpsons.
And you can hear more of them on Pods in the Key of Springfield, available now on all your podcasting
You
apps.
can. We have covered this episode.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and pester us to record and upload more.
Yes.
And make more t-shirts. They're selling well. You doubled your sales.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
absolute hotcakes. In that people tend to, we sell 3 at a time. That's about it.
And they're all covered in whipped butter and maple syrup.
I was going to ask, like, have you guys ever, had a shortage of hotcakes when you've gone to buy them?
The shortage?
No, I don't think I've ever experienced a paucity of hotcakes.
Well, I just tend to make my own. You just buy the flour and the eggs and the milk and everything.
Oh.
Fuck.
Bloody duh.
Someone's got flour, milk, eggs, and everything money.
But yeah, I love, like you said, and I felt like her and Marge catching up, at the start was kind of a callback to the last episode. And yeah, his interactions with the kids is great. His stuff with Maggie is beautiful, and it's pretty lovely.
Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me about the heart of the episode, and you kind of got to buy into the idea that it was entirely Homer's fault, the events of the last episode, and when you kind of reframe it on the idea that Herb probably should have done some due diligence, all this seems like a bit of overkill, Herb's reaction, that is.
Yeah, on some level. There is I don't know, I buy into the central idea of an animosity and a distance between them, even if the specifics are a little iffy, I think.
Yeah.
I think I buy into, the dramatic stakes of it, even though, yes, Herb is maybe getting away with less blame than he should.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, even then, it sort of leads to funny material, like her punching Homer is just amazing comedic timing on both accounts.
And Homer is a little bit of a dickhead just generally, so,
yeah. All he needs is a punch in the face.
There's a scene right at the end where Herb goes in for a hug, and Homer says, "I've never really hugged a man before." I was thinking that is such an early 90s thing. Like, the idea of somebody on television, who would say now they've never hugged a man, unless you're fucking Tim Allen in, whatever that show is about being a cuck or whatever. It's,
Home Improvement?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Yeah, Tim the Cuckman Taylor, as you've just rebranded him. And yeah, I've never really hugged a man before. It's one of those things that, 88 years after this episode first aired, you look at it and go,
But you also totally buy that Homer has never really hugged a man before.
Oh, yeah.
Makes complete sense for his character.
That's true.
But ultimately, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yes, I would say it feels very much like an episode. It feels very Schwartz-Weldian in places. Like, from the very opening, I was thinking, because, you do research, we don't. I was sort of thinking, is this a Schwartz-Welder where, Lenny comes to the physical just completely naked and then asks to borrow Homer's underwear, and then Homer eating the chicken in the tank? All of that, I'm like, this feels very classic Schwartz-Welder-y, Simpson-y, and yes, I thought all these sort of, familial conflict in there feels very familiar. The ridiculousness of the plot, the way things escalate in weird ways and then de-escalate again, feels very classic Simpsons.
The eating in the tank thing is one of those things where I think for a while The Simpsons ruined my life, because the bluntness of, hey, no eating in the tank, go to hell. That kind of, and it's not in the Bart, the antagonistic little troublemaker go to hell. Homer's just confidently saying, no, I'm just going to do this, go to hell. And I reckon for about a decade, I thought it would be really funny to just have that persona all the time. And I told lots of people, usually medical staff giving me tests, to go to hell. And I'm not sure in retrospect that was a good idea.
Especially when you're eating chicken drumsticks.
Especially when I'm eating chicken drumsticks in a flotation tank. Do I think this felt like an episode of The Simpsons? Yes, I do.
Yeah, talking before about, that episode was still laying the foundation. Feels like, Simpsons at this stage are very much within their stride. Like I said, dodgy production aside, it doesn't really matter because, all the characters are behaving like themselves. It's a good episode. But yes or no, would you watch it again?
Yes, I would, Kent.
Yeah, I would definitely watch this one again. Like, I might go out of my way to watch this one again.
All right, well, if you're going to watch it again, think about what playlist you'd put it in. What episodes pair well with this one?
Ooh, couch episodes. This is one of the things that I was thinking, and maybe I should have brought this up in the section where we talk about whether we've seen it before and, what we thought of it and what it means to us. I've always really, empathized with Homer's love for his couch. Like, there's something about that whole thing that really connects with me, and I've just thrown out my couches because I've just moved house, and my partner had better couches than me, so I got rid of my couches and now have a much more comfortable couch. Still a bit of a shit couch, so it'd be nice to get a nicer one, but it is a lot less shit than the one that I had. And at this point in my life, the idea of actually owning a nice couch seems like a thing that's slightly outside of my grasp, but the idea of having a really nice couch and growing attached to it really speaks to me, so... I forget what the question was, but couches. Couches are great.
I don't want to burst that couch bubble, but I genuinely think that the couch is always greener on the other side. I think, and what I mean by that is every time you go around to someone's house, you sit in their couch and go, fuck, this is great. And whoever owns it says, nah, I don't know. I think when you've got it every day, every couch has deficiencies in it.
I suppose you might be right. That's true.
Because I'm not trying to big note myself here. I get quite a few compliments for both of these couches.
Well, la-di-da.
I don't like either of them anymore.
And if it can't be with the couch you love, honey, love the couch you're with.
I really connected to the line, you're going to go back to where you came from, the curb in front of Flanders' house. That is where quite a bit of the furniture in my house came from.
Yeah.
Just found it on the street.
Well, because recently I threw down for very nice recliners, and, they are a very nice couch, but I've still got the shitty old couch that I inherited at my inner city shitty apartment. And it's a bad couch, but it's so much more comfier, and it's so much better to have couch naps on than the nice ones. So, I'm glad I kept it.
For sure.
Yeah, I've legitimately forgotten what the question was, sorry.
Simpsons playlist. What other episodes?
Oh, sure. Silly award ceremonies. That seems like a thing that happens.
Conventions.
Yeah, that's right.
Sports people playing themselves.
Especially boxers, yeah. On the couch as well, and tying in with the last episode, Lisa and Bart being in cahoots when they do break the couch. Yeah, again, very nice. Bart and Lisa being kids in this episode.
Just looking at my notes and thinking about all the stuff that I haven't even mentioned. This is a really stacked episode. There's a lot of really funny stuff in here.
Is there anything you'd change about it, though?
Ooh. Look, you shouldn't give children memberships to the NRA.
Or anyone.
Yeah, I mean... I guess I might change that, although I do really enjoy the line about where Bart talks about one of the advantages of machine guns being that you can spell things out with them. I feel like as a video game player that makes sense to me.
I do enjoy, obviously it's not great to give a 10-year-old boy an NRA membership, but I do enjoy that they get a slight dig of, can I get armor-piercing cyanide-tipped bullets? Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's insane. Of course you can. It's in the Constitution. So a nice little jab, a nice little drive-by for the NRA.
The only thing I might change is I would, as we sort of said before, maybe try to deal a bit more with the murkiness of the fact that it's not just straight up Homer's fault that everything that happened to Herb.
No, that just perfectly leading into what I'd change. I want Homer to say that to Herb. It wasn't all my fault. You put me in charge without any oversight. I didn't know what I was doing. You gave me false confidence. Like, just anything. Yeah. Actually, there's a weird moment when Herb asks what Maggie wants, and she goes, "I want what the dog is eating," and Homer goes, "Dole." Like, what?
Well, I assume it's because he thinks that that's binding and final, and that Herb's going to go, "Well, then that's what you're going to get. I'm Marge." Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Did you just say howdy, howdy, howdy?
Yeah, it was Marge doing the dinosaur from Toy Story.
It's a shark.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Oh, is that a shark?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a shark in Toy Story. Would have eaten all the other toys, James.
Have you seen Toy Story?
I've seen Toy Story 1, 2, and 3.
Not the fourth one?
Is there a fourth one?
It sucks.
It is okay. It is a real 3-star movie.
Man, I saw it on a plane, and I've usually got so much more tolerance for bullshit, but fucking hell, that movie just drags.
The thing about that movie is it's not great, but Forky, we stand a legend. I love Forky. I'm all about Forky. Tony Hale's really good. Forky's a lot of fun.
Did they call it that because it was the fourth one? And in Toy Story 5, there'll be 5 key, and then 6 key, and 7 key.
But not 8 key. That'll be enough.
Speaking of Key and Peele are pretty good in it as well. But Toy Story has got the problem that it's been like this snowball that's just picked up so many characters over the years that in that movie, like, every character only gets one line because there's fucking 50,000 of them.
It's a little bit like the first episode of The Great British Bake Off, where you barely get introduced to the bakers because there are so many cakes to judge.
That's also true.
I'm just winding it back to things that I know.
The other thing about Toy Story, I think, is like, in the second movie, they start to really deal with how weird it is that the toys are alive and what that actually means for the world the film is set in. Mm-hmm. But then they just have to keep doing it. And at a certain point, I think they hit diminishing returns where it's like, you just have to accept that this doesn't really make sense and just move on from it. And I think by the fourth one, it's crawled up its own ass a little bit.
Yeah, definitely deep up there.
So yeah, oh bro, can you spare some dough? Great episode of The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, Nick, what would you change?
Oh, there's one line I would change. When Herb says, discarded pizza boxes are an inexpensive source of cheese. Wrong. They're a free source of cheese. This line shits me so much. Discarded pizza boxes are not inexpensive. You don't have to pay anything for them. They're free.
But Nick, eating old cheese, there is a price to pay.
Oh, I see what you've done there, Elliot. Actually,
maybe you need to buy a hammer to open up the dumpster behind the pizza shop.
There are no hammers and no dumpsters. But I think, to be honest, E-Train, if they crowbar off of that joke and said, all things considered, discarded pizza boxes are an inexpensive source of cheese, I think it would be a funnier joke.
All things considered.
Yeah. And that's all.
All right, yeah, we're here. Do you guys have any other notes?
I've got a few things that I don't think we touched on. Burns hating his lawyers is really fun, I think. That early scene where he keeps yelling at his lawyers about what vultures they are. I think Harry Shearer is really good in that scene. I think it's fun, and I like it.
It's interesting that Burns, of all people's taking this stance, given his, history of moral bankruptcy.
It is funny, isn't it? It is weird.
Yeah, it feels interesting to be someone who works as a lawyer and seeing that even Burns doesn't have the moral fortitude to be nice to you.
But it is like a sort of an hypocrisy of his character.
It's like
and I really like the way he keeps snapping back towards being nice with them. It's just one of those funny Burnsian things, back when they had multiple angles to this character and he could do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But Nick, were you offended at his rantings and ravings?
No, it's alarming how quickly as a lawyer you get used to people just kind of yelling at you for stuff.
Oh, Nick.
And you just kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
But it's more along the lines of, I know that you're not actually frustrated with me, you're frustrated with the process. I'll just sit here and take it and then we'll move on. Sorry, was that answer too real?
Isn't it funny that we both have jobs that have weird hate movements towards them?
Wait, what are you?
I'm a video game journalist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like a Wikipedia page about the group that came after us.
No, that's true.
Oh, man, I really love the design on Herb when he's homeless. I like that they make his weird mouth stubble thing grey. And I love his sort of disheveled appearance. The whole thing about the Mickey Mouse massage parlor is great. I love that joke.
I said I'd remove the mouse and put his pants back on.
I love the scene where he accidentally goes to the Flanders house and they announce that it's Tithe Day and they've got themselves a transient. And it's just the perfect encapsulation of the early version of Flanders where the joke was that he was a perfect neighbor and that was irritating. I love that. DeVito's really good. as I am sure I have gone over and over about.
Oh, yeah, the guest star for this episode.
Daniel DeVito, director of the movie Matilda.
Didn't he also star in Matilda?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, right.
With his wife, Rhea Perlman.
Are they still together?
Oh, is that his real wife?
Yeah, they broke up, and then they got back together, and then they broke up again, and now I think they still live together, but they're not, they're not in a relationship.
I see.
They're just very good friends.
Interesting.
I read his Wikipedia page yesterday in preparation.
What was his height again?
By far the most research I've ever done for a podcast. I believe it was 147 centimeters.
147.
4 feet 9 inches.
Herb mentions my final notes. Now it's time. Final notes, whatever.
Now it's time for my final notes. Elliot's final notes. Final notes.
Hey.
I think I got that right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's to the tune of the ABC News theme song.
Oh my god, I've never realised that. Oh no. Oh god.
There you go. Fun fact for everybody. I don't think that's been mentioned before.
No, but that's a fun fact for fucking podhead nerds, of which I am one.
When Herb is walking away from the Flanders house after they clean him up, the sky is very nice. Old Simpsons had these very nice gradients in the sky.
Oh, Elliot, I've got a bone to pick with you about that sky.
Do you?
Damn it, Nick.
I did a rant on this exact topic when we did this on Pods in the Key at Springfield. I'm very confused by what's going on because they're singing Onward Christian Soldier Marching Us to War, and the design in the sky is the same as an old Japanese flag.
Okay.
And singing about war when the clouds and the sun form an old Japanese flag and it's not evening, he got there in the middle of the day, it all just feels a bit, hang on, is this gross? I don't know what they're trying to say. And the only reason that I think it's deliberate is I can't think of any other scene where the clouds have been drawn in lines that come into a concentric bit in the middle. Like, clouds tend to be scattered. They don't tend to come as... What's the word I'm looking for? What's the thing when things like parallel lines eventually... Not parallel lines. When lines eventually come
bisect?
back... Converging lines? I don't know. It's a very oddly drawn sky that looks like a Japanese flag, and they're singing an old Christian hymn about marching to war.
No,
I don't really have a point. It just feels a bit weird.
No, I'm looking at the picture on FrinkyAct.com, which is where I make most of the social media content. And yeah, it does sort of, the clouds look very purposefully arranged like that, where they're fanned out wide and then they're getting smaller as they get closer to the sun. It does look purposeful.
Exactly. And I think if you do a quick Google for like Japan rising sun flag, it looks alarmingly close.
Well, John Swartzwelder, I'm assuming you're listening. Yeah, if you'd like to appear on the show. Sorry, this is a bit from your podcast.
No, that's more than fine. I've just sent it.
Not a bit. We actually want him on.
I've just sent it.
We want to talk about the time machine did it.
And my final note is I love the washer and dryer race at the bar. I wish more bars would have
that is good.
Home appliance races.
That would be good gear.
It's time to rank this thing, and Nick's turn to go first.
Rank this thing.
I think for this one...
Did you just send me a rising sun?
Yeah, I did. I sent it into the group chat.
Reads like a threat.
Sorry.
Like a declaration. Okay, now that you've sent these two pictures... Like, to be honest, I'm not seeing, like, that direct a parallel, but I do get what you mean.
The clouds are so odd. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
What are you ranking it?
Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me what the fuck I was supposed to be doing there. I'm going to rank this one a gold. I don't think this is essential. I do think it's very good. Turns out the Herb Powell episodes are scoring 2 from 2 on the goldometer over here in the suburb in which I live.
All right, and Jackal, what do you reckon?
Okay, so I've thought a lot about this, searched my heart. And we've discussed a lot. We pointed out a lot of, potential flaws in this episode. Things that maybe aren't as great. I don't think any of that shit matters. I think this episode fucking slaps. I like it so much. I think joke by joke, scene by scene, I was very invested in everything happening. I was laughing a lot. I kept thinking, oh, is that from this one? That sort of thing. I think there's so much packed into this. We haven't even touched on how fucking great Danny DeVito is. But he's so wonderful. A lot of great like little animation things in here that don't translate well to discussing on a podcast as well. Look, this is going to be the first time that I've done this on your podcast. I am going to give this
failure
the Simpsons Index Outstanding Achievement Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Oh, wow.
Which is a cubic zirconia.
Oh, amazing.
Elliot, is that going to be the new unanimous cubic?
Oh!
As in, I've ranked it gold, so obviously this isn't unanimous cubic, but that is the name for a unanimous cubic.
Fuck!
The Simpsons Index Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Mystery solved. High five, Jackal.
He's bloody done it again.
He's fucking done it.
Oh, man. Fucking 160 episodes deep in the podcast run, but we got there. Oh, thank you.
Oh, man. And the crazy thing about that is that you know it's good because the general reaction is, oh, of course, it was there all along. Like,
and how many episodes do you have left that could potentially get that ranking? Like 4 or 5? It seems like you've done most of that.
No, fucking so many. Like, when we started the podcast, we're like, we're burning a lot of the good classic episodes. We should, like, pump the brakes and try and focus on the lesser ones while we get good at this. And we're at that point now where it's just, we've got so much good shit coming up.
Have you done Lemon of Troy yet?
Yeah, that was actually one of our very early cubics.
Lemon of Troy might be a perfect episode of television.
Oh.
I sometimes think it might be the best episode of The Simpsons, or like top 5.
What am I ranking it? I'm giving it a gold as well. It's weird because I almost want to give it cubic because I liked it more than the other one, but I think what's bringing me down is, just Herb's a bit of a shit to Homer, and that kind of bums me out a bit, but like you were saying, joke to joke, it's fucking fantastic, so...
And also, he's played by Danny DeVito. What's not to love?
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, guest star for the episode, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, damn right it is.
Height 147 centimeters.
Yeah.
There we go.
And this will be a shiny gold, and this will be the third episode from Season 3 to be called a shiny gold. It'll be joining Dog of Death and Burns Verkoffen to Kraftwerk.
Excellent pronunciation.
Ooh, yes.
Kind of looking at that, I thought maybe Dog of Death is a bit high, but whatever.
Which one's Dog of Death?
Jesus, Nick, when we put the DVD in earlier, you said, Dog of Death, that's a good episode. And then you said that was the only name you recognised.
No, I didn't say... It was a joke when I said it was the only name I recognised. I know there was also Colonial Homer, the one where they're all dressed up as Victorian dandies.
Fuck.
Dog of Death is the one where he gets the twisted stomach.
With the lottery.
Yeah, okay. Where Santa's little Homer gets lap dance.
I really love the scene in that episode where Grandpa says, I knew we wouldn't win, and Homer says, why did you tell the rest of us? Why'd you keep it a secret? That moment's a cubic. The rest of it's gold.
Very good.
All right, well, look, that does it for the Simpsons Index, and that does it for the big 2-part special. James, Nick, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can find you?
Ooh, well, we have a podcast together. It's called Pods in the Key of Springfield. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I work for the website GameSpot at the moment, so I guess you can read me on there every day. I'm on there.
Every day?
Yeah, it's like my job.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah.
Someone's a busy boy.
So you can read me there and in a few other places. I think by the time this comes out, I might be in the most current issue of Wireframe magazine. Maybe not. Who knows? And I'm on Twitter. I'm JICKLE. It's spelled Jickle, pronounced Jickle.
Fantastic. And Nick, do you want to be found?
Yeah, Nick Ibis on Twitter, NICKIBIS. And then, Pods in the Key of Springfield. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Awesome. And thank you so much for joining us for this big 2-part special. I've been Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Dun 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 dun
Springfield.
Oh, glorious.
Glorious. No, I won't give in. I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
What's a moment from the best of the worst that stuck out to the best from the worst of the best stuck out to you, for better or worse?
No, I ask everybody else first.
Oh, fair enough.
And then I pick up the scraps. Yummy, yummy, good scraps. BT, how about you? For better or worse? Beach, can I borrow your pen for this next bit? Thank you. You can reach that? Oh, you should be a
I have a
gymnast.
lifetime of picking up pens off the ground. As you've noticed, I drop them a lot.
Oh, that's all right. It's good to do a podcast again.
Yeah, that's been an interesting,
Yeah.
They say you never forget how to ride a bike. Well, I think we kind of did forget how to ride this bike, but it worked out fine.
Look, I have broken my knee during this podcast.
Yeah, I was wondering if we should get that looked at. I'm currently looking at a box of someone bought me the Frozen 2 Monopoly set
Of course.
for my birthday. I haven't seen Frozen 2 yet, but I have the Monopoly set.
How have you know? I've seen Frozen 2. I don't give a shit about Frozen.
I know, but you were, well, to be fair, you very kindly offered me to get into a press screening that you had a +1 for. You weren't just, I wasn't getting in under grounds of subterfuge.
Well, they didn't actually end up eventuating. I was just going to, go to a regular screening with you.
Oh, yeah, that too. It came into cinemas at a really bad time for me. December/January is the time where I'm drunk all the time. I can't go to a children's film while
By
I'm
December
drunk.
to January, do you mean January to December?
Oh, he got me.
Oh, he bloody got ya.
I had a note. I've written down Mother of Pearl, and I don't remember the context of why Mother of Pearl is the thing that's said. But the reason I wrote it down is the phrase Mother of Pearl reminds me of a toothpaste ad from the 90s when there's a woman sitting in front of a class. She's a primary school teacher, like a kindy teacher.
Yep.
And she says, "Oh, now kids, what colour are my teeth?" and smiles broadly and gestures to her teeth. And all the kids say things like, "Off-white, stucco," and all these,
You look like fucking shit, lady.
ivory, antique weather, all these things. And then one kid at the end just goes, "Mother of Pearl." And it always made me laugh the way they delivered that line. So,
Just like that Weet-Bix ad that I'm always thinking about.
which is this one?
Where it's like they have a line of kids and they say 9 out of 10 nutritionists recommend kids eat Weet-Bix, but the kid who says recommend, I always really enjoy.
He does. He puts
9 out of 10 nutritionists recommend. He's just got the deepest voice.
and those are my final notes on Yo Bro Got Any Dough Though.
On this, the cereal index.